Give us an update, Gadge.
Hey, what was that, Will? Can I not have one?
It's been a long wait, but Super League Triathlon is back. And once again, we start our championship series right here in Jersey with new formats and new courses, but the same fast and furious racing. The points, though, have been reset. Everything is up for grabs. The championship series starts at 0, and the best athletes in the world are ready to do battle. There we go. The race is 100% on.
He's driving the pace, really driving the pace.
There he goes, he kicks. We're losing people left, right, and centre. Oh, that is the pain face.
That's actually cruel. He's lost his shoes.
Ouch.
That hurts a lot.
Great racing. Takes time to look at the camera. Taylor's going to take the shortcut. She's going to come out in front. It's a big, big win for Jonathan Brownlee. There's absolutely nothing in it. Who's going to take it?
Bo Grant.
Congratulations to Katie Zafira. She stands atop the podium. I don't know about you, but that makes me excited to watch Super League Triathlon once again, and we are here in Jersey, just 5 miles off Normandy on the French coast in the English Channel. And about 3 hours ago, I tell you what, it was the gateway to hypothermia, but right now the sun has come out, the wind has dropped, and we are getting ready to watch our women's semi-finals. My name is Will McCloy. Alongside me right now, two-time Ironman world champion and one of the co-founders of Super League, Chris McCormack, and alongside him, 2014 Commonwealth Games gold medalist Jodie Stimpson, who unfortunately is not racing at the moment. Macca, I'll start with you. And this is the question I start with, I guess, at the top of every Super League broadcast. What is Super League all about for those who are just tuning in?
It's about bringing the world's best together on tight circuits in amazing destinations and racing for the biggest prize purse in the sport. It's a lot of fun, but it's a lot of intense, real racing.
It is. It's painful racing, and just looking back on that, you saw the pain faces. Jodie, you've been in that deep, dark hole before. Not this time, a lot more comfortable on this side of the microphone, but it must be tough for you to miss out early doors.
Yeah, I'd much prefer to be on the side of the circuit. It's an awesome race. It's awesome to be a part of. It's absolutely brutal. You're totally right, and pain is definitely the main factor that you feel on this course, but yeah, we all love it. That's what drives us back to it.
It's a pretty interesting season this year. We go to Malta in 3 weeks' time, which will be exciting once again, going back to Malta and that beautiful Malta mountain. They go up the hill there. Then we have a big break, Macca, don't we?
We have a break for the Olympic Games. It was sort of the request of the athletes that are competing. They have that big event in July and August next year called the Olympics.
Like it's a secondary event to Super League, but it's big in its own right.
They seem very concerned about it, so we take a big break and then we'll come back with a 5-round series. So it'll be very, very exciting. But these 2 events matter to that 7-round racing series.
Absolutely. The championship points, as I said at the top of the show, they start at 0, they'll be reset. You'll be back for those 5 rounds, so you're going to have some points to make up, Jodes.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I've got to miss the first 2, so every race is definitely count going into next season.
But there's plenty of prize money on offer, as we mentioned. $1.8 million US dollars is the prize purse, which was last year the richest in the history of triathlon at 1.5. We've bumped it up another 300K. And here is the split you can see. First place for the round will pick up 20 grand, both men and women, but we pay all the way down to 15th place. And on top of that, the winner of the championship in total gets $100,000. So there's plenty on offer, and that's really big money for a triathlete, isn't it?
It's huge money.
Well, for anyone. It's big money for me, I tell you what.
It's massive money. I wish they had it around when I was racing when there was black and white television, but it's massive money. It's what Super League racing's all about. I think these athletes are the best athletes in the world, and triathlon is a magnificent sport, and they deserve to be paid this type of money.
Jody, we're going to see you in commentary across the women's races, but before we let you go, talk to me a bit about these conditions. This morning already we've had howling winds, driving rain, we've had youth and junior racing braving it out there. It's okay right now, but it changes quickly around here.
Yeah, definitely. But I think the best athlete that's going to come out is going to be the strongest, and they can handle all these different conditions. And, you know, it's definitely going to be brutal out there today. It's windy. I think the rain may hold off, but if it does, they have to be able to handle that, and that's another element of Super League.
Look at you smiling, though, because you know straight after this you're going to the commentary box. We'll let you do that right now. Mackie, you stay right here. Okay. He doesn't have a very long attention span, so stay right in this exact spot.
Don't move.
I'm going to head down here a little bit and go to the short chute, which is our shortcut for the winners of each of the semi-finals. And a man who loves to take the short chute, our reigning champion and new world champion, Vincent Lewis from France. And Vince, talk to me firstly about the short chute. It's a really important, and I think probably about a 3-second advantage.
Yeah, that's the first look I have with the short chute this year. I think it's slightly shorter than last year, but still good to have. I mean, that's still an out and back, so if you can avoid it, you would love to do it.
The winner, as I said, of both the semi-finals today in the men's and the women's, they'll pick up a short chute for tomorrow's racing in the run. Now, Vince, you dominated around here last year, picked up the pink jersey, which is our leader's jersey, didn't relinquish it, although it came down very close in Singapore. Must be happy to be back here in Jersey again on a course you know and that you've done so well at.
Yeah. Being back here is amazing. I mean, the crowd is really supportive, and I feel a bit like home. We're really close to France, so it's super nice. And yeah, this race is perfect for me, really technical. It's full flat, so yeah, that's a really race I like.
Some of the other athletes, I asked them at this point of the year, of course we're at the end of September, how beat up are they after a long season? But when you've won the world title and you're the world champion, I suppose it doesn't really matter, does it? Congratulations, picked it up in Lausanne a couple of weeks ago. You're in stellar form.
Yeah, thank you. That was a great year for me, starting last year in Gold Coast when I won the grand finals, and I went here in Jersey, winning in Malta, winning Mallorca again. Having a bit of bad luck in Singapore, but I was still in good form, and the whole year went so good. I mean, I can only thank my coach Joel Fio. He did an amazing work, and now we're here to defend the Super League title. Yeah,
the target is certainly on your back. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us. And also, the other day, you took the time to go head-to-head with our other champion, Katie Zafiris, in a champion versus champion special. Here it is.
Ambition trumps fear. Hope trumps doubt. I was born to win. Gotta get it by.
Richard Murray won that in Hamilton Island, a trophy. The
Which round was the most difficult? I'll start with that. And why?
The most difficult round, I would say the triple mix, either here or in Mallorca, because I got a chain drop in Mallorca. So yeah, not fighting for the win, it's pretty hard when you're used to.
Follow-up question. What was the easiest and why?
Easiest round would say the enduro. Suits me better. I can manage my effort, pace myself, and it suits the good swimmer, which I guess I am. Apart from being crowned champion, what was your proudest moment of the season?
I would say Malta, just because I felt like that was just strong across the board in both days, and having a challenging course and definitely being like pushed to the limit by my fellow Americans.
What is it going to take the win again?
Staying focused.
Yeah.
I think it's just, yeah, especially for Jersey, with the Enduro twice, it's going to take being strong across the board. And if there is a moment of where you lose focus or lose contact, being able to stay in it and stay motivated and not give up, because the race isn't over till it's over and other people might have other mistakes. So I think it's just continuing to go and be adaptable no matter what situation or what happens.
Game is too much and they can't stop it. No one said it would be easy. Give them something to believe in. Working hard every season. Anything else is treason.
Two amazing champions taking pretty much all the glory and just about taking my job as well, interviewing each other, but that's okay. I'm here alongside Macca, and we've gotten rid of Jodie and we've brought in world number 3, if you don't mind, Georgia Taylor-Brown. Georgia, you don't look like you're getting race ready, which is unfortunate for us and unfortunate, of course, for the home crowd. What's happened? You've got an ankle issue and we've had to pull out.
I had a scan earlier on this week and found out on Thursday that unfortunately I've got a little bit of a bone injury going on in my tibia. So I could race and everything could be okay, but I could also race and it could go the other end and I might end up being off for 12 weeks rather than just 2 now.
Well, that's a distinct lack of commitment
Yeah.
to Super League, but that's okay. We'll let you have it. Let me get your thoughts while you're here on this semi-final coming up, because we had what's called a slot draw, which means that we randomly picked who was in semi-final A and semi-final B, and it just so happened that the 2 women who've really fought it out, Cassandra Beaugrand and Katie Zafiris here last year, are in the same semi-final, one in pontoon position 1 and one all the way up the other end in 13. How do you think that's going to play out?
Yeah, I think that's definitely on purpose. They want to be at separate ends. And then I guess, yeah, it's hard. If I was in that race, I probably would have chose the outside line because it's only 100 metres or so to first buoy. So it is going to be carnage around that first buoy. But I think you just need to relax and not get too worked up about that. It's so short, the swim. I think it's going to end up coming all out. Everyone's going to come out together. And they're going to run really hard into transition to try and break it a bit. And then obviously you get on the bike and it's just hard from the start. Just go all out. And it's not wet anymore, so we can take a few risks now, but yeah, I think it will definitely be interesting.
Macca, talk to me a little bit about this battle that we enjoyed across the course of the season. Katie Zafiris coming out on top in the end, but pushed all the way by Beaugrand. And they're not at the opposite ends of their careers, but there's a 9-year gap between them. Cassandra's getting better and better, and she just pipped Katie in that sprint finish in Singapore. That was fantastic.
Over the enduro format, and that's the question we look at is where is Katie in relation to her racing? Cassandra, we know, is on the way up, and she looks very, very relaxed coming into this race. There's a much bigger French contingent here. I know she's a younger athlete. She likes to be comfortable in the days before the event. I can't wait to see this one because, as we know, with the semi-finals, the winner of the semi-final gets the short chute for the final the following day. So it'll be interesting whether both those athletes will go for it, take that short chute advantage, which could pay huge dividends in the final on Sunday.
Now, we've seen it happen time and time again. Now it's time to have a look at the start list for semi-final A. That is the one that is coming up very soon. As we can see, Cassandra Beaugrand there in position 1, and at the other end, Katie Zafiris in 13, but plenty of talent in between them. Taylor Spivey featured heavily last year, the American, in the 6th for the pontoon position. The under-23 world champion, Emily Morier, and in the 10th pontoon position, there is Vicky Holland, the 2018 world champion. We'll move now to semi-final B. That'll happen straight after, as we have a beautiful look at the Freedom Tree at the bottom end of this course. Rachel Klammer, who came second in Singapore, came second overall, in fact, and picked up 50 grand last year, is in a swimmer's heat alongside Emma Jeffcoat, who was our fastest swimmer last year. Zanette Bragmeyer, the up-and-coming Hungarian. Carolina Routier, the fastest swimmer in triathlon, in fact. And Sophie Caldwell, who holds the top 4 swim times around Jersey. So there'll need to be a very, very quick swim coming from anyone who's hoping to make it into that top 5. We'll say goodbye to you guys just a second. Thanks so much for joining us, Georgia. Go and relax in the hospitality now, I guess you get to do.
No, I'll be out on the course cheering for everyone, and I'm sure I'll be feeling the pain that they're going through as well.
All right, Macca, I'm going to leave you right there. We're going to walk up here because The heart says one thing sometimes, and Macca always has his heart set on certain athletes, but the data says another. And so we brought in Graham Atchison, who's a tri-data specialist from Forecast Consultancy, to crunch the numbers over all the Super League races and tell us the percentages of who is going to win this race. It doesn't take into account conditions and form and different things, but let's have a look at what the numbers say. And Graham, what do the numbers say about this semi-final?
Well, this semi-final is going to be incredibly exciting because we've got Cassandra Beaugrand and Katie Zafiris in the same one. These are our favourites for the whole weekend. So to see what they're going to do today could give an indication of who's going to take that weekend win.
All right, percentages say that Katie Zafiris is going to do it, I think, at 37%. Is that right?
37 and 32 for Beaugrand, I think.
Who else is on this? Who's a potential dark horse out there that could snatch a win?
So we've got Emily Murray here and Mazzetti, both Super League Triathlon newbies. They've never done this before. But Murray is an under-23 world champion, so a good shout for an upset there, I think.
We're setting you up for a fall here because we're basically asking you for your predictions, and then it's going to be completely different. But let's hope at least you get one under your belt.
Yes, exactly. That would be a good start to the weekend.
All right, we're going to go down. We're going to come back to you across the course of the racing. But right now we're going to go down to Jo Ankia, who is our eyes on the course. And she was in a boat, actually, getting the rundown on the swim course with Emma Jeffcoat, who is our quickest swimmer across 2018. Have a look.
Okay, Emma Jeffcoat, the fastest swimmer of 2018 Super League. So here we are at the start, the pontoon. This race is short and fast. What's going through your mind when you're lined up?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's pretty critical, those moments just before you start and the energy around that whole start line. I think, you know, it's quite eerie. Everyone goes quiet and you're just waiting for that final gun to go off. And I think all eyes are going to be, you know, towards that first marker up the buoy because, you know, Super League is fast and furious racing. So it's almost a race to the first can, really.
How do you swim efficiently around a buoy? How do you take it?
Well, I think you got to just play it as the race goes. I mean, I'm on that inside line, so I'll be hoping to get there pretty quick and get like the inside line around that can. But if you're on number 15, you can take it the opposite way and you just think, okay, I don't have to fight or be in the middle of the carnage and I can just go that bit wide around the can and get around just as quick.
We're coming up, I suppose, towards the halfway mark of one lap. How do you brace yourself? What's going through your mind at this point?
Yeah, I think at this point in the swim, you've just had like that first kind of sprint surge to the first can. Everyone's kind of jostling for positions. You kind of establish, you've gone around the first one, and you're kind of heading to that second can before you turn the last stretch for home. So at this point, I think it's kind of, you know, almost about trying to establish that little bit of a rhythm within the swim so that you can kind of conserve a bit of energy and get ready for the last push for the final, you know, stretch. So I think, yeah, being one of those first two out of the water to get up that ramp will be really critical.
Okay, now we can see the ramp over there.
Yeah.
Last year, some athletes were finding it quite tough getting out of the water. How was that for you?
It's actually not easy. And you're coming from really cold water, so you're a bit kind of stiff and you know, your lactic's there because you just swum so hard. So if you can make it look graceful, then you've done really well. I'm really excited. It'll be Super League's Fast and Furious, and that short style of racing, you never know what's going to play out or you can't predict anything. So I think as long as you're going as hard as you can, what more can you ask?
Excellent. Thank you very much, Emma. We wish you the best of luck.
Thank you.
See you out there.
We are building up for the start here in Jersey, the start of our championship round, and it starts with two semi-finals to decide the top 15 who make it through to Sunday's racing. They don't make it through, they go home. Here's an explainer about how it's all going to play out. The semi-finals. From a mass start, athletes face a 300-metre swim, 4-kilometre bike and a 1.6-kilometre run twice. 2 consecutive triathlons at full speed, no breaks and no room for conservation, with each of the 5 transitions featuring live eliminations. The semi-final format is a true examination of pace and precision, with spots in Sunday's final awarded to those who can withstand the pressure.
Well, of course, the first race is about to begin. The athletes are starting to make their way down to their slot positions here. Now, remember, there will be 5 athletes that qualify from semi-final A, 5 from semi-final B, and the next 5 fastest overall. So even if they're 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th, there's still plenty to race for. Now, the athletes are making their way down. Of course, we have the reigning champion from last year, Katie Zafiris, who has chosen to be in lane 13. And then, as we've been talking earlier today, Cassandra Beaugrand just here. Let's grab a quick word. Cassandra, we know you won a race here last year. Can you win another one this year?
I will do my best, and we will see.
Excellent. And obviously we've also got Vicky Holland, our Great Britain Olympic bronze medalist. And over here we have the US contingent, Taylor Spivey. Now Taylor, we know it's your first time racing in Jersey. What are you looking forward to today?
It's actually my second time racing in Jersey, but I missed last year. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I hope I redeem myself from 2 years ago when I crashed and couldn't finish the race, so at least the weather's a bit better this time.
We did miss you last year, and you are usually very strong on the bike. Do you like this course?
Yeah, I like this course. I like a technical course. I wish there were a few more hills, but otherwise I'm really looking forward to getting to the finish line.
Well, there's going to be some fierce racing today. We'll let the girls get lined up. I'll get out of their way because it's going to be a short and sharp start.
Thanks very much, Joe. It certainly is. We cannot wait to get all of this underway. Let's have a look at the course right now. And you can see from the start there, it's about 120 metres out to the first buoy amongst the big yachts here in the harbour in St Helier. We go turn left for 70 metres and then left in again. The green is the bike course. We go straight up a very tough ramp from the swim and into transition. The bike course at the bottom of your screen there, they do the turn on the roundabout, and it is very, very treacherous. We've already seen some people come down there today. There's a technical section through near where the fan zone is. That's that yellow box on the left-hand side of screen before they come back round into the marina. Now, the run is just about the same, except for a shorter turnaround. They don't head all the way down to the roundabout, but it is tough. It is technical. There is some wind blowing through. There's some narrow parts of the course. There's also some areas where the surface changes as well. And to get anywhere near these jerseys, you have to negotiate all of that. The blue is the leader of our swim rankings, red and green for the run and the bike, the grey for the transition, and there'll be a few white jerseys out there as well, the youngest athlete in the field. You won't see those ones today, though, because it is all about accruing points across the course of our season. So the fastest swim split in the first swim today will accrue the points and then pick up the blue jersey for tomorrow. The same for the red and the green and the grey. But we won't see those today. We will see them tomorrow and across the course of the season with $10,000 US on the line for those who can accrue the most points. And here again is our start list for semi-final A. Look out for the French woman we just heard from, Cassandra Beaugrand. She's always very, very fast out of the blocks, and she has a fantastic run. At the other end, look for Vicky Holland in 10, Katie Zafiris in 13. A couple of Aussies there, qualified 2 in Felicity Sheedy-Ryan and Kerry Morris, as is a couple of new Italians in Anna Maria Mazzetti and Ilaria Zane. But we're about to get everything underway here in Jersey. It's semi-final A and the top 5 go through, and I think we've got a clean start. 300 metres in the water and 120 metres out to the first buoy. Alongside me in commentary right now, Jodie Stimpson and Chris McCormack. Good to see a clean start, Macca.
A magnificent start. And I think all of us were looking at the far left and far right of the screen. It looks like Katie Zafiris got the better start from all views of it.
Katie Zafiris is closest to us here,
too.
And at the other end, on the far end, that's Cassandra Beaugrand.
Cassandra Beaugrand. They're the two we're looking for in the water. I'm looking also for Emily Moret, the under-23 world champion. She's going to be there. And Mazzetti, the Italian, who I think will be very, very close to front. She's had a magnificent season. If she's got a weakness, it tends to be slightly in the water, but on bike and run, she's magnificent.
Now, Georgia Taylor-Brown just before said she expected everyone to come out of the water together, but already, Jodie, they seem to be breaking up a little bit.
Yeah, definitely. I don't think they're all going to come out of the water together. I'm going to go against Georgia here. Just you have got some fast swimmers here. And you've also got Kate, who's actually, I think, the only athlete that's actually vouched for a leg suit, which is quite interesting because the water is very cold. So I think that's a really smart decision.
And is that Beaugrand off the front?
It is, I think, yeah. Is it?
It doesn't look like the French flag.
No, it doesn't look like the
arm,
French flag.
It's because it's the furthest back I've seen Katie Zafiris in any of the swims. She can make up for it a lot, and she's got the wider run around this swim buoy. So the option to go wide was an interesting one. As we know that the winner of this semi-final gets the short chute, so I'm looking at to see between these two who are favourites to win the round.
Also, 5 points on offer for the fastest swim split, and that goes straight into the jerseys and the jersey competition we just mentioned. So the top 5 out of the water will pick up points to go to that blue jersey, and we've got someone straight off the front. A little bit of a battle as they turn the first buoy at 120 metres, and already they're turning for home. Super League Triathlon, Jodie, it just happens so quickly, doesn't it? There's no chance if you don't get a great start, as you can see there. There's not much chance to make up for it.
No, definitely. You have to be in that hustle and bustle around that first buoy. No matter if you're the first person around it, it is so much easier. But anything apart from that, then you just have to get amongst it, and you have to get in that washing machine and get yourself around that first buoy. And it's really short, so you need to get up there quickly.
And there's less athletes than last year with only 14 in the semi-finals. It makes for a little bit more room. I know we used to have Alistair saying with less athletes it makes it a lot more difficult for the weaker swimmers to stay closer to the front because more gaps are opening up. So that could play havoc as they get out of the water in these fast transitions.
But when you say the weaker swimmers are usually the ones that are used to this fight scenario and used to kind of getting around. So I mean, that's kind of how I kind of got around in this swim, is that I'm used to that scrap around the first buoy and get amongst it, where Katie's not necessarily used to that, which is why I think she usually does suffer in the first swim, and she won't like the position that she's in at the minute.
Without question at all. Who is that on the front?
Is it the Hungarian?
Yeah.
I think it'd be Jeanette Brugmeier, the Hungarian.
Yeah,
I think you're correct, actually. Yes. Jeanette Brugmeier came in to the series for the first time in 2019. This is her first.
It's Beaugrand, it is.
Beaugrand.
It's definitely Beaugrand.
Yeah,
she had a much better start, and that'll be interesting because that side last year and the year before was always the quicker side to start on. I was surprised when Katie Zaferes, who had the right to pick first on the pontoon, chose that further side.
Yeah, last year I kind of went straight next to Sophie and I was number 2.
All right, we're going to head down onto the pontoon. Joe has got Henry Schoeman, who unfortunately is injured. Joe, how are you seeing them coming in?
We've got the excellent swimmer Henry Schoeman with us. Well, Henry, it looks like Cassandra's out in front. What do you make of this rivalry so far?
Yeah, Cassandra had a very nice start in the beginning. Closely behind is Takahashi. Zavaris is in the mix, and Spivey and Holland had a very good swim as well. It will be interesting to see if they go aggressive now and really push on that bike.
Excellent. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Henry. Thanks, Joe. There you go. Up the top is both Zafiris and Beaugrand, who's leading them, and Kerry Morris there at the back is already in danger. Yuko Takahashi, ever the consistent one, and Vicky Holland, who raced here last year and came in as world champion and didn't do what she'd hoped that she could do. I think the pace of it all came onto her pretty quickly, came 11th.
It's funny that we're talking about semi-final number 1 and Vicky Holland, a world champion, Olympic bronze medalist, has not been on everyone's lips coming in. It's been Beaugrand and Zafaris that people we're talking about, but Vicky's right there with a magnificent swim.
Okay, 300 metres of the swim done, and just a reminder, in this semi-final it is swim, bike, run, making it a sprint enduro, so they'll head through distances twice through, and from there we'll take our top 5, we'll go through to the final, and they'll have to wait the rest of them from 6th through 10th or so and sweat it out to see how fast the second semi-final is as they head onto the bikes for the first time. And it's funny how people are doing things a little bit differently. Some people mounting their bikes before the line, trying to negotiate, but most people doing the smart thing and getting around the bottom end of the course before they mount.
Yeah, I'd definitely go around. It's quicker. You've then got the straight line to get over your momentum, jump on and put the power down. I would definitely not be mounting, because then you have to take that dead turn and you're already going pretty slow.
We saw that in the junior race this morning. I think in the first race in the youth event, there was a lot of crashes, a lot of congestion around that, and as it progressed during the day, a lot of them opted to take that longer run, get on their bike on the straight, and this is where there was a lot of problems on that roundabout in the youth race. We had 5 or 6 crashes, especially on the entry into that roundabout when it was wet.
Yeah, it's dry now though, and Cassandra Beaugrand, who won the triple mix here last year, is out in front with Yuko Takahashi behind, and they've gapped everyone by 4 seconds from Katie Zafiris. Sandra Dode, one of our qualifiers from Bali, is just behind Zafiris. From Victoria Lopez, the Brazilian. Taylor Spivey. Vicky Holland now back into 7th. She came out of the water in 3rd, so she's dropped a couple of places from Ilaria Zane, Anna Maria Mazzetti, the 2 Italians together. And we head down to Kerry Morris at 26 seconds back. But a cracking pace on the first of 3 laps on the bike. It's a little bit shorter than it was last year. 3.9 kilometres overall for the bike. 500 metres shorter. And the run, 1.6 kilometres.
Oh, without question. And that little dog leg we saw there through the fan zone was not there last year. We brought that in this year, and I think it's really going to favour the stronger swimmers. You've got a much more technical section that's bringing in the fans for the course. It was a request of a lot of the people here last year that thought that the event was too quick and too fast, and that dog leg, I know a lot of the athletes, Jody, were looking at that all week, especially when it was wet. It's very, very technical off that fast acceleration out of the roundabout.
Yeah, it's crazy how you think of like a dead turn, and some of the guys were panicking about it. I mean, they shouldn't be, to be honest. They're professionals. You need to go out and practice it. It's a dead turn at the end of the day. They need to be good at these things. But this is, I mean, this one's a bit difficult because you are doing a U-turn on not a concrete surface, so you do have to be careful on this one. But on the other one, it's concrete. You know, you should be able to do a dead turn.
And it's Katie versus Cassandra. Katie bringing up that second group, Cassandra and Yuko Takahashi off the front. And And we saw this. I think if these changes to the bike course and to the run course, that technicality doesn't allow Katie to use her power as much as we saw last year. When she comes off that roundabout, she really applied that pressure on the fastest part of the course. Now we've taken that off and added a bit of technicality to it.
Absolutely correct. Look at that. Takahashi has taken over from Beau Grant at the front, but the two of them have gapped the rest of the field. 10 seconds it is now through the last timing, Matt. So they're really putting the hammer down, Beau Grant and Takahashi, on the first of, 4 laps. And Beau Grant at a 6:37 at the moment. And you can see there, 10 seconds back to Zafiris, who leads a train of about 8 athletes, and just hanging on the back of that is Ilaria Zane and Anna Maria Mazzetti. But these two look like they're doing it comfortably.
Yeah, Yuko Takahashi is actually really good at this format. She's raced here and she raced all the Super Leagues last year, and she showed how good she was last year. And I think she ended up in the transition jersey last year, and you know these skills are fundamental in Super League. And you know she showed that she was quick out of the water, and now now Cassandra is using her to get around this bike course.
They've extended that grab. We saw last time that there was only a difference. They were both on that little dogleg section, and they've extended that. And I think this will be interesting because they can enable them to cruise this neck.
Oh, that's Taylor Spivey, who I think she almost got cut off there and is forced to be off the back of that. So she'll have to work hard to get onto the back of that train once again. And that just shows you, we talked about the dead turns. They don't like it, and that's exactly what happened.
And there's a block headwind right there. That's the open section of the course. It's wide open up in the fan zone. The air rushes straight up. We call it Thunder Alley, and it's like hitting a block headwind. And maybe
you call it Thunder Alley.
It sounds cool, Thunder Alley. I think it sounds cool. But I think it's going to be very, very difficult. It's interesting to see our first race through this. I ripped around that bike course when we first planned it. I spoke to Vincent Lewis yesterday, who went over it. I spoke to Ben Canute, who also went over it. And they were excited about that little dog leg and said it would be very, very difficult for people to reel people in. The escaped bike groups like this, especially small ones, will be hard to reel in.
Yeah, definitely. When you go into that dead turn, you're at such an advantage. You can take your own lines, you can power out. And the people that are like 3 or 4 bike lengths back, they've got to produce so much more power than the first person going around.
At which point in this race do you think, Jody, if Katie Zafiris looks at Cassandra, and obviously it's only early doors here, but if it remained at 10 seconds or 15 seconds, at what point does Katie Zafiris know that she's going to qualify anyway for tomorrow's? If she finishes third, she's going to qualify, but she's not going to get the short chute. And to give a runner like Beau Grant a 3-second advantage on a run is a big shadow hanging over your head going into tomorrow's final.
Yeah, definitely. If you were just literally talking about the pacing of events, then Katie's one of the best out there. She showed it last year that she knows how to, save, conserve energy, and then use it when it actually matters. She won't like the fact if Cassandra gets this, short chute, she won't like that at all, because Cassandra, you'd see that her and Katie are the two that are going to be fighting out for the title this weekend.
Cassandra is the best runner we've ever had on this course. She posted the fastest, what do we call it, the fastest actual run speed of any Super League race was done here by Cassandra Beau Grant last year. So she is our fastest runner through data we've looked at. So it is very, very difficult to give an athlete of this caliber any short chute advantage. And I think Katie's going to move up on this next run or force the pace on this next run to close that gap.
Yeah, and I think that she'll also, Cassandra is an absolutely fantastic swimmer, but Katie is good when she is swimming off the run as well. So I think that's another element to Super League, is that it's not just a straight swim. You have to be able to swim when you're extremely fatigued after doing a swim bike run as well, and Katie's very good at that.
And when you look at the data from last year, especially the pacing data, it's the second swim that's the biggest drop-off in these sprint enduros, these enduro formats. So the bikes tend to stay, bikes and runs stayed relatively similar throughout the entire event. And Vincent Lewis and Cassandra and Katie Zafiris are by far the strongest at the back end. But it's this second swim that's very, very difficult, and they lose most of their time.
Yeah, that's usually where we see these races that are run at such high heart rates blow apart a little bit when they have to finish one triathlon and head straight into another one. And the best athletes, like Zafiris, and someone's down. We can hear it on the PA system. I think we've had an accident at the bottom end of the course, and it is Takahashi, who has come a cropper, well, that's an Australian term, who has fallen over on the black carpet, and that leaves Cassandra Beau Grant out in front by herself, and the rest of the field will have seen that.
She has that margin of error being off the front with Cassandra. She'll get gobbled up. She'll be able to contain herself, get herself back together. She's a great runner. Got a big second swim. I think there's nothing to panic about for Yuko.
Yeah, it's unfortunate for Cassandra, because I think she was actually using Yuko Takahashi very well. Now she's out there solo. She may like it because then she can take her own lines.
It's last lap now. She can just sort of cruise in, get her breathing under control, get her mind under control, and set up for this run where she's most comfortable.
Yeah, she certainly is an incredible runner, Cassandra Beau Grant. She showed that. She's in our forecast consultancy number crunching, the #1 runner and the absolute standout in terms of running. She's only 21 years old. She's so good at mixed team relay. Another product of that French Grand Prix racing where they're just doing it short and sharp at the moment. In 2019, she's had some pretty good results, actually. Her World Triathlon Series ranking in the end was 8th. She finished 17th in the Lausanne Grand Final a few weeks ago, and 3rd overall last year, and that's missing 2 rounds, Macca. She won in Singapore. She came 2nd in Jersey last year. She didn't do the other 2 rounds, but because she was so strong in those, she still finished on the podium.
Well, when she's racing, she's never fallen out of the podium or just off. She's always in the action. She did 2 races, and that's the consistency that got her right there. And her performance in Singapore against Katie in this enduro format was first class.
And here she is, currently 11 seconds clear. Takahashi has managed to stay a little bit clear of the chasing pack, but they are tracking her down as quickly as possible. And that's headed by Zafiris, who's done all the work out in front. Sandra Daudet has been smart and stayed right behind Zafiris. We're going to head down now to Joe as they come into transition. Take us through it, Joe.
Cassandra is just making her way through here. She's got an 11-second lead. Cassandra, can you hold Katie up? Okay, we'll let her get on. Henry, it's been a bit of a big gap for Katie Zafiris. Are you surprised how much of a gap so far?
Yeah, we've already had so much happening in this race. Takahashi came down. Zafiris is about 15 seconds back. And Beaugrand can now run nice and relaxed.
And Taylor Spivey here, doing well. Looks like she's on the back of that group again, Taylor Spivey. Do you think she has a chance of making the top 5?
Yeah, definitely. It's still a long race ahead. She's back in the main group, and she just needs to stay calm and relaxed.
Excellent, back to you.
Takahashi through in 2nd, Vicky Holland through in 3rd, and she had a graze at the top of her thigh. I'm not sure where that happened. It must have happened, off camera, obviously, but she's managed to get back up if she's had an accident.
Maybe coming out of the
swim.
water. Yeah, maybe coming out of the water. It's hard to get out, especially when it's slippy. I wouldn't have thought it had happened on the bike. She'd have dropped back out of the pack, so I'm presuming it was.
Are you questioning her pace if she's on her own? Is that what you're saying? She wouldn't be able to get back to the pack if she'd come off on the bike?
She's not cycled that well this year. She's not cycled that well this year, so yeah, I'm going to go with that.
Here we go out the front.
She seems a lot more committed though in that transition. I recall coming in last year as the world champion, we expected a lot from Vicky Holland, and she really struggled with the pace. But right now, looking at her at the split, she's right there with Katie Zafiris. She just looked committed, moved up to make sure she was right off the front, off the bike, came through very slick and looked controlled. Had a little glance over the shoulders to see where Katie was, and I think is in a fantastic position to qualify.
Oh, definitely. I think Vicky's very good tactically, and if she has a weakness, then she is really good at racing it and kind of hiding her weakness and making the most out of it. And she's in the perfect position. Like, yeah, her cycling's not been great this year, but her running has been phenomenal. In some races, I know she's been extremely frustrated that she hasn't been able to show it.
Cassandra Beaugrand looking there like she's running in slow motion, but to give you an idea of how quick she is actually going or is capable of going, Summer Rappaport is in terms of getting around the Jersey course, around a 3:18 pace, and that was the top in the Enduro last year. But right behind her, Beaugrand at a 3:20 pace, and she just looks so comfortable as a runner, and it looks effortless in a way that the other athletes out there never look.
Well, she has to control herself. This is the semi-final. The round is won tomorrow in the finals in the enduro format, which is the toughest format. You can see the desperation now on Katie to close that gap. This is all about a short chute. You're going to give Cassandra Beaugrand, if she stays off the front, a short chute advantage in the final, and Katie, as a competitor she is, does not want to give anyone an advantage.
90-second rule is in effect, as we should have mentioned earlier on in the telecast. Any athlete that falls 90 seconds or further behind any time through transition will be eliminated, and Felicity Sheedy Ryan is at 1:28 at the moment in Aspen. So she's in danger of being run out of it by Cassandra Beaugrand by the time she gets through transition, and we'll see the yellow flag come out. But right now, controlling this race is the Frenchwoman Cassandra Beaugrand. She won on Saturday last year in Jersey. She's looking like she could do the same, and it is very good to see the 2018 world champion right behind the 2019 world champion in 2nd and 3rd position. Holland with the hopes of the Brits resting on her shoulders, and Sandra Daudet, another French woman, our first qualifier, if you like, in terms of outside of the top-ranked athletes, is at the head of that second pack, with Spivey moving back into position ahead of Emily Morier, and now Takahashi, who's finding this run a little more difficult after having that small accident on the bike. There is Anna Maria Mazzetti from Italy. Behind her, Ilaria Zane, 2 back, and in between them is Victoria Lopez of Brazil.
these girls are working really hard. They're gonna suffer in this second swim. If you've got to, go and dig deep into the red zone even before you get into that second swim, you're in trouble. And especially if you're digging into the red zone and you're not holding on to the likes of Katie or Vicky, it's worth it if you're up there, because then you've got feet in the swim. But then if you're so far back and you're diving in and you're already being gapped, you're going to struggle.
We can contrast the face. Look at that, the relaxation of Cassandra. She's in complete control. She knows she's got a little bit of a margin of error on both on Katie and Vicky. She can control this. She's a magnificent swimmer. Set it up for an easier bike. Take that short chute if she's to win it. I'm looking ahead, but she just looks very, very controlled, and that was all set up in that first swim.
Yeah,
Everything.
she did. She's done her tactics perfectly. I mean, she was out there. She got to control the bike, and now she's just controlling the run. Katie and Vicky are both having to work hard, but I still think Katie's, controlling her efforts.
Elimination clock.
That elimination clock could not have been closer, as Claudie Samard, I think it is there, and Felicity Sheedy Ryan crossed the line, and it was 1 second for Sheedy Ryan that she was ousted by. You saw it ticket 1:31 as she came across. She was sprinting for the line. But the day's over for Canada's Claudie Samard. You can see the look on the faces. They found the going tough out there. Everybody who comes into Super League Triathlon for the first time is shocked by the pace of it.
Yeah, of course, it's super hard. I mean, you go into there, and every interview you have with athletes, it's how brutal Super League is, and they've just found out how brutal.
Well, this is interesting because you've got to count, remember, to go through to tomorrow's finalists, the top 5 guaranteed qualify, and then the top 5 fastest times. So you're leaving yourself with a little bit of a gambling going on, I guess. If you dropped out of that top 5, you got to wait for those times from the second semi-final and hope you're through. So the aim of the game, I guess, is to make sure you finish in that top 5 to secure that slot in the final. Let's head down again to Joe, who is in transition, and in is coming Cassandra Beaugrand, who's been in charge of this race. Joe.
Well, yes, Cassandra Beaugrand is in charge of this race. I have Claudie and Felicity with me, who unfortunately have been the first victims of elimination. Felicity, you were 1 second out. What happened?
I know, I could see it. I only saw the clock just as I was running in, and I was like, oh no, it's going to be touch and go. No, I had an okay swim for me, like I was just in, but I just mucked up a few of those bike corners, and I sort of slipped out on my wheel a little bit, and yeah, it really cost me. Wasn't smooth enough through. It was just the technical side that got me today.
Commiserations, Claudine. Will we see you girls tomorrow?
Oh yeah, sure.
Excellent. We'll see you girls tomorrow. Thank you.
Thanks, Joe. As we head back to the action, Cassandra Beaugrand 12 seconds ahead as she heads back into the water. You can see some of the athletes getting ready there and getting their goggles and swim cap on whilst they're running at like a 3:30 pace. So how hard is that?
That's pretty hard. I mean, the hardest bit now is obviously they've just run, and they've now got to run down this quite steep ramp and dive back in. And your legs are all ready to jelly, and then you've got to, handle running downhill before you even think about getting in the water. So it's not easy on the quads.
And as that tide drops, that ramp gets steeper and steeper.
That's right. It's something we don't really speak about that much, but you can see them coming down. It looks steep there, but it is. And someone's overtaking there too. There's a chance to pick up, if you're brave, a couple of extra seconds. And
well, I think Katie closed down I think she closed more in that transition on Cassandra Beaugrand than she did in the entire run. And she was able to gap Vicky Holland there all through transition.
I think you're right. She certainly pushed up on it. It was 12 seconds through our last timing, Matt. It'll be interesting to see there. Spivey, Takahashi, Anna Maria Mazzetti, Lopez and Ilaria Zane make up your top 9.
Is that Emily Moreira on the back, the young under-23 World Championship champion?
She's not in our timing. Kerry Morris has come through 10th, and I can't see Emily Moreira, but she did have her swim goggles on a second ago, so
I think that's a drop-off. I definitely saw a French flag at the back. It could have been Daudet.
Daudet came into the water 4th.
Yep.
There are the 2 Italians who've come through the timing map, but we'll keep you updated on that. At the front, though, for the French fans, Cassandra Beaugrand continues, and she's got such a fluid stroke. She's just a very controlled athlete, certainly working within herself now. I can update you, though, that Kerry Morris, another of our Australian qualifiers, is the next to have been eliminated. So this is a 10-strong race as I make it at the moment.
I think Katie's going to be near enough on her feet by the time that they get out here.
This is where Katie is strong, right? As you said earlier, her second swim's remarkable. She's like a diesel engine. She gets stronger and stronger as the race goes, and we've seen that round over round. Especially last year when we had those dual races over a weekend, she was much stronger in the second day than she was in the first.
Yeah, and I mean, you're totally right. I mean, look at these gaps that are appearing in the second swim. And you said it earlier that this is where the damage is done. Katie's already bridged across to Cassandra now, and you know, there's their 2 up. And unfortunately, Vicky's missed Katie's feet, which is, I mean, that's a tactical error. I'm sure she couldn't do much about it, to be honest. But if she could have held her feet, there's 3 away, and you're in the final for tomorrow.
Well, there was a committed transition from Katie. I saw a rush in. You saw she went straight through it. She seemed to be. It was night and day between Vicky's transition and Katie. She knew that desperation to get across on that descent down into the swim start to dive in for that second swim. She could close a bit of a gap, and she's closed it. And they're the 2 favourites for the event.
Well, there you look at those timings, and they are before they headed into the swim. It was 10 seconds between Beaugrand and Zefiris, and that has evaporated as they went down that steep ramp. So it just shows you Zefiris threw caution to the wind as she headed down. She knew that was her chance, and she's caught up. And our 2 who battled it out here in Jersey and indeed across the course of the series are neck and neck and also head and shoulders above the rest, with Vicky Holland still holding down third from Sandra Daudet. Taylor Spivey, who was the one who overtook Takahashi heading down the ramp. But this is exciting, the way this is set up with these 2 who we know are such quality athletes.
Yeah, I mean, they're coming in, they're just setting themselves up for tomorrow, to be honest. I mean, you wouldn't bet against these 2 making through tomorrow, but they've just made it so much easier and making in that they're going to be so much pressure going into tomorrow. If these 2 can just sustain, you know, a bit of a gap, they can control it, they can control their effort, they don't have to dig too deep, you know, and by the time they get onto the run, it's more controlled. The damage is really done on the run, I'd say. So if these 2 can just stay away and control until they get there, they can finish 1 and 2.
What are you saying, a gentleman's agreement or gentlewomen's agreement that we're only going to sprint for the short chute in the last 200 metres? Let's save ourselves until then? I don't think it works like that.
Happens.
I don't think there's going to be any holding hands on this.
No, we've been down that road before and it didn't end well. Although if you're in Super League, you can hold hands. We're not going to disqualify for that. No. Out of the water comes Beaugrand and Zefiris, and you can see behind there quite a long way back to Holland, who's taking a little bit of an interesting wider line. She needs to come back around if she's going to get out that ramp. If that is indeed Holland, you can see her there on the right. She's going to have to avoid the boat and head back in.
See, this is it. I mean, she's extremely fatigued, and these are the kind of mistakes that happen when you're so tired from this Super League format.
It's going to be a very, very interesting battle for the top 5 positions, because there are 5 coming out of the water, Spivey amongst them, Takahashi as well, quality athletes with plenty of Super League experience and knowing that the top 5 will get them in. But right now, we were hoping for this. Zefiris and Beaugrand heading into transition. In the back of shot, you can see Tommy Zefiris, the photographer, who's Katie's husband, who actually competed with us last year, actually Olympic trial swimmer, very athletic family. Beaugrand out of the water first. And these athletes are risking elimination.
I think you could see there, I think Cassandra Beaugrand was actually looking at Katie coming out and just making sure that she was probably going to mount her bike before Katie. She knows it's crucial. She doesn't want Katie to be out in front of her at all on this bike. She needs Katie on the bike.
She got out in front of her, just as you said. Katie's now going to follow her wheel. They get these 2 exactly like we saw in the first opening bike with Yuko Takahashi and Cassandra, have those straighter lines, and it's the congestion back here when you're in these bigger groups that make that dogleg section that we keep talking about in the fan zone much more difficult.
And there's 3 away there. If these 3 could get away, then there's your top 5.
And there's
but
Moreira.
They are closing, so they kind of need to put a bit of an effort, and it's worth the effort. If these 3 can get away, then they're in control here, but these 2 are going to be chasing them.
At this point, do you work together? Do you realise where you are in terms of third through 6th and try and work together to make sure you stay gapped out?
I don't think you can think about it too much at this point. I think you need to put the power down and get that gap, otherwise they're just going to close it. And then once you initiate and you've got that gap, then you can work together, because then you can count the numbers and you go, okay guys, we're in top 5. We're not in contention for the short shoot. Let's just get through to tomorrow.
We could be seeing our first contracted athlete miss out on Sunday racing. Yuko Takahashi 5 seconds back on Sandra Daudet. She, of course, Takahashi is a contracted athlete, having finished in, I think, 8th position last year. Sandra Daudet a qualifier. So Takahashi could have a nervous wait if things stay as they are to see how quick the times are in semi-final 2, because the top 5 go through from this semi-final to tomorrow's final. The top 5 from semi-final B, which is coming up very soon, and then the next 5 fastest times overall. So that's our buffer in case a lot of quick athletes had a very, very quick semi-final.
This is interesting. Now you've got 4 here. Yuko Takahashi's going to I'd say, going to latch onto this. So one of those girls won't make it through, or they may make it through if they have the fastest time, but you won't want to leave it up to that. So it's going to be a battle to get in the top 5.
We saw in the heat draw that everyone felt that this was going to be the strongest semi-final. When we drew the names out and they were allocated to the semi-finals, everybody was saying this is the strong semi-final. This was the semi-final they expected to be quicker than the next one, depending on the way it was raced. So you'd hope Yuko was thinking, okay, if I can stay close to Vicky in this group, I've just got to run to execute, cross the fingers, and I'll be in that top 5 fastest times. But over a sprint enduro format, that's throwing a lot of caution to the wind.
Yeah, I think it was great the way that Super League did it this year. It made the 2 heats. Yeah, there's maybe one that's slightly stronger, but to be honest, it's going to be really hard to make it out of either of them.
Yuko needs to close this gap, because that's the train that will keep the pace up and allow your times to matter if you miss that top 5.
Extremely impressed here by Sandra Daudet. The feet's still out for Emily Morier, who's had 1 lap on the bike and hasn't had time to put the feet into the
She's trying to close that gap. It's the desperation to get, well, it's a desperation to get across to that group of 4 up in front of her, because there's 7 there, and what's happening here? It's our 2 leaders. But I think it's the desperation to get across to that group, because she can execute a good run, and as I said, you worry about those times when they worry. You can get in that top 5 with a big run, or you're going to be closer to that fastest time to make sure you're in that 15 in tomorrow's final.
You can see that they just gone around. We didn't have that last year, that little detour around the island there. And that, as you say before, really takes the speed out of Katie Zafiris in terms of the fact that that's our longest straight stretch, or it was. And now it's like having a little speed bump there. You can't really get ahead of steam up.
Well, Jodie knows that better than anyone. She was in this race last year, but I remember calling it with both yourself and Vicky, and it was Katie that was so strong off that bottom roundabout in that fast top section. That's where it seemed to split up, and that's where the groups got isolated. She doesn't have that advantage this year with this technical section, and I think she just seems to be rocking and rolling back and forwards and hasn't looked as comfortable as she did last year.
Yeah, Katie was. I mean, I spoke to Katie before the race, and she was nervous going into it. Obviously, she's going to be extremely grateful that it's not raining, because I think she was worried about that. But, you know, this is Katie's weakness, is this technical bit, and she does get better every Super League, as she showed last year. But this is the first one. You know, WTS races aren't as technical as this. This is a crit race.
Zafiris now ahead of Beaugrand as they head to the bottom end of the course for the second time, past where the short chute is. You can see it in the middle of your screen. Of course, that will be for tomorrow and taken only on the run. And you can see there's just no one around them. They're just still putting time, even though they don't have to, into the rest of the chasing pack, headed by Taylor Spivey with Vicky Holland behind. You can see Yuko Takahashi still tacked onto the back, but she's having to dig deep behind Sandra Daudet. And Daudet is our only, I guess, either quality wildcard or contracted athlete who's amongst them, but very, very impressive from her so far. She's an outstanding swimmer. That just shows you how important that positioning is. 6th in the World Cup a couple of weeks ago in Banyoles, 2nd in the European Champs, 2nd in Madrid in the World Cup too, but really taking a step up here and mixing it with the very, very best in the world. And there's 2 of them on screen right now, heading out on, well, back in on lap 3 of 4, and then we'll have 1 run, and it's going to be a good run, isn't it?
It's going to be a very interesting one. It's going to see who actually leads the run, because I know that Katie actually likes, you know, she likes to be in that front position, but, you know, if she wants to do that, then is she going to leave it to a sprint finish like they did in Singapore? I mean, that was a fantastic sprint finish that they had in the final, so, yeah.
They're contractually obliged to do that once per round now.
It makes good TV.
Yeah, it does, exactly.
So we'll thank you. We'll thank them when they finish.
Yeah, thank you. We're getting it out of the way in the first one. But it is Zafiris and Beaugrand, and we said it earlier in the show that these guys they're at different points in their career. Zafiris, obviously the world champion now. In the last 5 years, she finished 5th in the World Championships, in the WTS, then 4th, then 3rd, then 2nd, and then she finally gets the monkey off the back this year and becomes world champion in that respect. Still, there's a lot of blue sky ahead of Cassandra Beaugrand. She's still improving. We know what we're going to get from Zafiris, and that is consistency and probably dominance. But Beaugrand is a different kettle of fish. As they come into transition, before I get your response on that, we'll head back down to Joe.
Okay, well, they are coming into transition. As you can see, Katie in the front now. I was just having a chat with Henry. Takahashi seemed like she's been struggling a bit since that fall.
Yeah, she's had some really bad luck around that U-turn, and it seems like she's getting herself back up, but she's just hanging on. We'll see if she can get that top 5 at the end of the semi-final, but it looks like Moret is going to go for the top 5 fastest.
Now, it does seem as they come around this U-turn that they really have to slow down. What do the bikers have to go through at that point?
Yeah, they have to really slow down. It's on a carpet surface, so they have to be really careful not to overshoot it.
Okay, back to you guys.
Thanks, Henry. Thanks, Joe. And you can see there that Takahashi, just even as they said that, has dropped off the back of that group. Now, she has to just now make sure that she has the fastest time that she's got in her, because she's going to be the one probably who's going to have the weight.
And she knows that. She's been off the back of that group since the swim, so she's just dangled about 5 or 10 seconds back, and she knows that she'll be looking ahead going, I need to deliver a big run here to guarantee that slot. She'll be counting those heads up in front and knowing exactly who they are and probably targeting the weakest in that group, whether she can hunt them down.
Conversely, for the athletes in semi-final B, they'll be looking at the times of Mazzetti, Lopez and Zane, who are now a further 30 seconds back in the group, and targeting that time, knowing that there's going to be probably 4 slots, if you take Takahashi out, for the discretionary spots, if you like.
Well, it's always that advantage being in that second semi-final, because you have a time to target. You can get together at the start and say, look, guys, we need to work this. Let's all get through, and the advantage of being in the second semi-final.
Yeah, I think it's so brutal, though, in one way that some athletes don't have a choice of how fast they're actually going, because it's so full on, and you're, in that red zone for much of the race. Some of them won't have a choice of going, let's pick it up, because they're already at full capacity.
We're about to head in once again. You can see Bo Grant hopping out of the shoes, as is Zafiris already, and they're going to come in and head out on the final run. 1.6 kilometres between the two of them, and a short chute. Both get off before the dismount line cleanly, and we're watching that very, very closely. Racked in at position 1, as she was in pontoon position 1, is Bo Grant. Having to travel all the way to the other end with the bike is Zafiris, and that might hurt her just a little bit.
Yeah, that is a massive advantage, to be honest. I mean, Katie has to go the other end of the transition, like pushing her bike, it's slower.
And she avoids, I guess she picked that in to avoid the congestion from the swim, but it was definitely slower after the bike.
We do have half the amount of athletes out there than we've had in that transition area in previous years, so the congestion on the bike, for those who don't like to have to go through it with their bike, is less. But yeah, it was all about that pontoon position. Holland leads out the chasing pack, Spivey on her hip, Dode, and
it's Dode and Takahashi.
A little bit. Yeah, that's it. It'll be Dode and Takahashi
for the race for 5th.
And Sandra Dode knows that very, very well. You can see her attempting to latch onto the back, but Vicky Holland looks way more comfortable here than she did 12 months ago.
Yeah, definitely. I think tactically she's done this really well. I think she needs to, just stay in control now and just do what she needs to do to get through to tomorrow and conserve as much energy as she can.
Little look across there as she headed around the turn from Bo Grant and trying to see where Zafiris is. We can see her in the back of shot. It's probably 4 or 5 seconds now. The split says 4 last time they went through the mat, and it is at least that. And you look at those two running styles and you think, oh, Cassandra's doing the job. But I said before to Katie about an hour before the race, you like the T1000. If you've watched the Terminator, the T1000 never slows down, has the exact same running style no matter what, rain, hail, shine, hills, whatever. She just seems to have the kind of running style that can run through anything, and she never slows down.
And nothing changes, just everybody else seems to drop off. We sort of watched it year on year as we've been calling this. She just has that same look on her face, the same running style, and just suddenly there's 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and she's leading. It's just remarkable to watch. But Cassandra Beaugrand, a lot more elegant in the style, stands a lot more upright, and she looks very composed. And
she looks totally in control, doesn't
without
she?
question. She looks like she's not even breathing. She's very, very composed.
Beaugrand's best time around this Jersey course, which has changed slightly, is a 6:40. To give you an idea, though, Zafiris' best is a 6:46. So Cassandra Beaugrand is our best runner. We keep saying that, but Katie Zafiris, she's so good at every discipline that you almost forget how good she is at every individual discipline. She is the second best runner there is. Her worst results for the run have come in Jersey because she's so strong up hills, because she doesn't slow down, just like the T1000. But she's the second best runner. She's the second best on the bike. She's the 4th best in the swim, and that is why at the end of the day she was crowned our 2018-19 champion. Can she? If she does take this gap down, that is a huge mental advantage against the best runner. Can she do it?
I don't think she will. Cassandra looks too much in control.
I'm trying to pump it all up here, and then he's got, no, that's it.
No,
I don't think so. I don't deep down, I don't think so either. But if anyone can do it, it certainly is Katie Zafiris. And you can see the short chute. That is the distance that it is shorter than, like, the shortcut was bigger last year.
Well, the run's shorter now. We have a 1,600 metre run. We were running 2 kilometres in the past. It's about 3 seconds, a 3-second advantage, which over a mile is a significant advantage. So we tried to calculate what that short chute should be. Well, Dode's moved right up. She did this in Bali in the qualification round where she secured a spot for Super League races. She was by far superior to all of them on the run. And it's now Taylor Spivey. I think she'll be safe, Taylor. I don't think Yuko Takahashi will close that gap, and she'll have to rely on times to get through to tomorrow's final.
It will be Takahashi who relies. Yeah, I think you're right. That gap has certainly runs out. Has the gap, I think, now between Beau Grant and Zafiris, which it was 4 seconds. I think it's probably about 6 seconds now. We'll see on our timing mats when it comes up, but she's showing her class once again.
I think Katie said to herself, look, I'm going to give up this 3-second short chute. I'm going to back right off now. I'm through to the final. You can have it, and let's rest up for tomorrow.
I think it's smart.
Yeah.
I think, you know, Cassandra she's so much in control. She got that advantage coming into going out of transition, and she's just grown on it. I think this is where Katie is really smart in these scenarios, and she's gone, yeah, I'm not going to get this today. You have the short chute, and game on for tomorrow.
That's what I think too.
There you go. It looks like 1 and 2 already done. Cassandra Beau Grant and Katie Zafiris. As I said, there's been 4 race days in Jersey over the last 2 times we've been here. 3 of them been won by Katie Zafiris. The other one by the woman on your screen right now, and she just seems to be getting better and better. This kind of racing made for the number 3, the French woman, 21 years of age, still plenty of improvement to go, and Cassandra Beau Grant will probably be your winner of semi-final A, and she'll be, I guess, throwing the gauntlet down in terms of her time. Will be very interesting to see what her time is and whether anyone can get anywhere near it in semi-final B, which is really a swimmer's semi-final. I'd say that probably the top 5 swimmers all happen to have been pulled out in semi-final B, so that'll be very interesting.
Yeah, I think Sophie led a lot of the swims out here last year, and she'll be looking to do the same thing just to get through to the final, but she needs to do that because they're not short of runners either in Heat 2, but she needs to use her advantage going in and try and get through to tomorrow.
Yeah, Sophie Caldwell holds the top 4 ever swim times for women around the Jersey Marina, and she'll be looking to add to that, no doubt. But right now, all eyes are on Cassandra Beau Grant, who has impressed us every time she's put on a Super League jersey, and she's done exactly the same here. She has gapped our 2018-19 champion, and she'll turn for the last time in front of a good crowd here in Jersey. They do love their triathlon, and they love their Super League here on the edge of the marina, and she's got time for a few high fives, or more than a few, a nice smile as well. She's run within herself somewhat, and she'll pick up the short chute. The winner of semi-final A and under the finishing arch is Cassandra Beau Grant. Congratulations to her, and behind Katie Zafiris as well, who qualifies for her first final on Sunday. Now, this race is going to be very, very interesting. Keep that number in mind, though, 39.16. And then a 39.27 for Zafiris, as Dode, our first qualifier ever to book her place in the final, is going to make the turn ahead of Vicky Holland. There'll be a big cheer from the crowd as Holland qualifies for the final. Well done to her.
The high fives will stop soon.
No, they won't. They'll keep going for everybody, I'd say. So Dode, well done to her. Holland as well, who had an enjoyable race, and Spivey comes through.
Here you go, Yuko's going to have to, no high five for Yuko. Head down and sprint.
The hands are out, but they're getting ignored. Yuko Takahashi will need to post a time, and we'll keep it in mind. But 48 seconds between first and fifth going through. And then Takahashi with 55 seconds. Let's go right down to Jo in just a second. I think she's with Cassandra Beau Grant. Jo?
I am indeed. I have the winner of semi-final A with me. Cassandra, congratulations. How did it feel to win today and get such a gap on your big rival, Katie?
Thank you so much. I felt very good on the swim, so I tried to push on the other parts, and it was okay.
And you were leading for much of the race. How much did you want that short chute tomorrow, that advantage?
I really enjoyed, and I enjoyed.
Well, looking ahead to tomorrow's race, how confident are you? Can you cause an upset here at the first SLT in Jersey this year?
Yes, I will recover a lot, and we will see tomorrow.
Excellent. You look so strong. Congratulations and good luck for tomorrow.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jo, and thank you to Cassandra. Congratulations. Cassandra Beau Grant comes in 11 seconds ahead of Katie Zafiris. Sandra Dode another French woman. She comes in third, and then Vicky Holland in fourth from Taylor Spivey. And Takahashi, she raced in a 40:11 and got home, and that will be the mark for everybody to beat in semi-final B, which will be coming up very, very soon. You can see Emma Jeffcoat there getting ready.
They'll be looking at those times, all of them. That's as we said before, that's the advantage now going in, is knowing they've got to set a big tempo. For any takeaway from semi-final A is that first swim mattered a lot, and it was that first swim that put a lot of them back. Taylor Spivey had a magnificent first swim and was able to stay up in the mix, even despite that bike crash. It was, it could have put her out of the race.
Good crowds here in Jersey. That is the fan zone just up there behind that building, and crowds lining the course as well. It's gotten bigger and bigger each year here in Jersey, and we've certainly enjoyed coming here and the support that they come out rain, hail or shine here. And as an Australian, I'm really not, there's literally 3 drops of rain, I don't go outside, but as a Brit, no worries at all.
No, we're used to, and we're harder maybe than the Australians. We can handle different weather.
This is called summer, Will.
This is tropical, what do you mean?
Yeah,
There's
right.
a bit of blue sky over there.
Jodie put some sun cream on before she came into the commentary box for some reason. Very, very strange. Anyway, I'll head back down to Joe right now.
Yes, well, I've got Katie with me. Congratulations on qualifying. We're not used to seeing you in second, though. How did you find that?
Yeah, I found it tough. I mean, for Super League, it's always hard for me because you have to go strong right from the gut, and I'm a typical, it takes me a little bit to get into things, so I did. I'm hoping today was a good warm-up for tomorrow, but I knew to be aware of Cassandra from before the race even started, and when I saw her in the swim, I was like, oh no, she's so far ahead. And then they stayed in front of us for quite a bit, so I was happy when I caught her in the water, and I just couldn't go with her on the second run.
It's a nice rivalry building up between the two of you. How much do you relish having a rivalry like that to push you?
Oh, I mean, it's so amazing having people push you to your limits and make you better, and Cassandra's young and just getting better each year, so I think she's just going to continue to heighten the level of Super League, and it's amazing.
Now, you won't have the advantage of the short chute tomorrow, but are you confident that you can have a repeat win?
I wish I had the advantage of the short chute with those legs on her, but I'm just going to try and do everything I can to make sure that I minimize the effect of the short chute when she uses it.
Well done today. Good luck for tomorrow.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, Joe. Thanks, Katie. It's easy. All you have to do is be 3 seconds ahead before she takes the short chute. That's not too hard, is it? You could do that, Jodes.
Yeah, easy peasy.
Easy. Just be 3 seconds ahead of the best runner in the sport.
Yeah, slight advantage that she's got double the leg length that I have, but we'll go with that.
But there you go. I called it last year the present and the future of triathlon, but I'd say they're both the present of triathlon at this point, Macca.
Oh, when we first saw Cassandra, I think Hamburg, she was a 16-year-old. She did that mixed teams relay, and there was a lot of talk about her being an Olympic champion in the future. She's a star. She's gone on to win that mixed teams relay world championship gold medal. She won Hamburg in the WTS event last year in the sprint race. She's dominated when she's raced here in Super League racing. She is a superstar of the future.
Part of that French mixed team relay team that also won at the Tokyo Test event, and we'll see them in the Olympics next year. And there is Cassandra Beaugrand in the 39.16, 11 seconds ahead of Katie Zafiris. Sandra Daudet, congratulations to her, 39.49. She books her spot in Sunday racing. Vicky Holland and Taylor Spivey in a 40.04. On the bubble, though, are Yuko Takahashi in a 40.11, Anna Maria Mazzetti 40.40, and Victoria Lopez in a 40.55. And they are all of the athletes, including Emily Morier, who's had some issues with a timing chip, and we'll keep you updated on where she finished overall in terms of time, who are waiting to find out exactly how fast semi-final B is. It's not too long until semi-final B heats up, and in the meantime, everyone's taking the chance to rest, relax, go and get a drink and get ready to do it all again on the stroke of 3 o'clock. And we've got plenty of excellent athletes who we're waiting to see in that, especially in the swim. But in the meantime, Yuko Takahashi is facing a very, very nervous weight. As I said, a 40.11. She is right now down there with Joe in recovery.
Yes, Yuko, you finished 6th. It was good racing. First of all, I know you had a fall. What happened out there?
Oh, I just slid. I don't know if I did wrong or something, but I just slid in. But nothing hard, so that's also a good thing.
So you're okay now. Did it affect you too much in terms of catching back up with the group?
Yeah, it was fine, but I just got scared a little bit. But yeah, I just did my best.
And now you have a bit of an agonizing wait, finishing in 6th place. How does that feel, and will you be out here watching race number 2?
Yeah, I was hoping to get top 5, but yeah, I just need to wait the second group finish.
Okay, well, we're sure, fingers crossed, that you'll hopefully make it tomorrow. Rest and recovery tonight.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you to Yuko. Always a smile on Yuko Takahashi's face. She could have crashed 3 times. She'd still be happy just to be doing some Super League racing.
Yeah, she'd crash and say thank you. She's amazing. She's so positive and so cool.
Let's have a look back at how it played out. You can see Zafiris closest to us. Bogran in the #1 slot and was dominant in the early running. We knew she was quick to start off, and Katie Zafiris said as much, and she showed that.
Yeah, I think Katie, I mean, her part of the race was in that second swim when she bridged across to Cassandra, and she just made it really easy and then made the decision to back off and, you know, conserve energy.
There is Takahashi's action, and you can see Bogran in the far distance and how quickly the group came on. So I think having to put that extra effort in there, that really taxed her in the second swim bike run.
And she's if she has a semi-weakness, it is the run. She tends to be able to stick very well with the group, but I think she had that big advantage with Cassandra, and losing that with the crash left her a little bit exposed. As she said, she felt a little bit scared and off, and those sort of bumps can affect you for the rest of the day.
You have to have confidence going onto this course. It's a crit circuit, and that's where, you know, you can get some speed going around the corners. If you're braking, touching the brakes too early, you're going to lose time.
Well, if anyone knows how to push it right up to the red line but not over it, it's Katie Zafiris, and she had to do that in the middle part of that race. She caught up as they headed into the second swim and just erased a 10 or 12 second gap, which had been worked so hard between Takahashi and Bogran to deliver. And then the two of them had a bit of a shootout, at least for the first lap of the run, before, well, I wouldn't say the white flag went up, but conservation came into the equation.
Well, she knew it was. You know, you weigh that up, as you said, and Cassandra's a big runner. She's probably looked up the road and said, look, let's focus on tomorrow, get through as easy as possible. I'm going through to the final. 3 seconds, as she said in her interview. I'll find a way to pull that back, and it's going to be a magnificent battle between these two tomorrow.
It absolutely is, and third, fourth and fifth announced themselves as well as contenders in Dode, Holland and Spivey. As we said, there's prize money that goes pretty deep in Super League Triathlon. There's plenty to play for. Even if you think maybe you don't have the legs to match a Bogran, you've still got plenty to play for in terms of both championship points, in terms of jerseys, and the money that's on offer for that, but also for cash. And that comes into the equation. As much as you like to say I'm out there racing because I love racing, you also think, well, I can make $5 grand.
The sport's the real winner, Joe.
Yeah.
I do it for the love, but there's $1.8 million up for grabs, so it's I'd love it too.
Oh, is there? I didn't realise. Oh, I was just here to race. That's what you think, obviously, isn't it, John?
Of course. The best thing is the racing. The money is just secondary, of course.
No, of course, 100%. Did you even know? I didn't.
No, I didn't even know they had prize purse here.
Let's head back down to Joe. We're already starting to think about semi-final B. There is Janet Bragmeyer. We almost called her in the first semi-final, but she's actually in the second semi-final. And Megan Foley, who comes in after a couple of late withdrawals. And alongside her, Carolina Routier. Joe, we'll go down to you right now. The women are getting ready to do battle, and they've just seen semi-final A happen.
Analyst Graham Aitchison with me here. First of all, your thoughts on that first race?
It went broadly as expected, I thought. We kind of knew that Zafiris and Bogran were going to be the favourites, and I mean, they took a huge gap pretty early on, and they got away from the rest of the field and took the win.
Now, other than Cassandra in the lead, some of the competitors up the front were changing positions. How surprised were you how it panned out?
Yeah, well, the big one for me was Dode. She's up 6 positions from what we had before the race. She came in 3rd in the end, so she's obviously very young, still improving, so she did incredibly well.
Okay, let's look ahead to semi-final B. What are you expecting?
Well, unfortunately, we had a bit of a late dropout with Summer Rappaport, who was the second favourite for this race. So this kind of leaves it quite... Rachel Klammer is now the strong favourite for this race. A bit of an outsider would be Alice Beto, who's also quite young coming through. But Klammer, for me, is the favourite for this race.
Okay, now I've also got Henry Skuman with me here. You were also with me in the race, and you were making a lot of comments. How surprised were you at those results?
Yeah, I mean, I think it was always going to be the duel between Zafiris and Bogran at the end. They were really looking good out there, especially Bogran. She was looking really good on the corners. She's really worked on her bike skills, and she got the advantage of the short chutes tomorrow. So that might be in her favour. We saw some bad luck with Yuko Takahashi coming down, but I think she might be able to get that fastest time to get into the race tomorrow. So
now, how much difference will that short chute make? I mean, I think the question I really want to ask you is, do you think Cassandra can do it?
I think she can. She looked really strong and dominant today, really comfortable. She has that advantage now, and she can use it whenever she wants. So we can really see maybe a win coming from her tomorrow.
Excellent. Well, that will be a change for the books. Back to you guys.
Thanks, Joe. Some great thoughts there, and also good to see the percentages up there and the numbers being crunched. And Rachel Klammer is a strong favourite now with a pullout, as Graham said, of Summer Rappaport. As the sun shines down on the castle here in St Helier, it's been a fantastic week for the athletes. They all got here about a week ago, and they've been enjoying some community engagement here in Jersey. And we're going to have a bit of a look right now at exactly what some of them got up to.
She finished in 4th place. Today we've been really lucky and fortunate to have the professional triathletes come into school.
So we're going to do a little bit of skipping now with these school kids and talk about heart rates.
It was super fun being here at the school, and the kids, I mean, their energy is infectious, and it was a great way to get pumped for the weekend.
I think, that's what makes Jersey really special, is that all the kids are really super active and love Super League being here. So it's great to see so many kids enter for the 2.5 and 5K on Sunday. So yeah, it's great to see so many active kids.
Our Year 6 children presented triathletes individual letters.
Cheers, thank you very much. We are going to do our signature dance move, me, Jodie and Katie. So hopefully the kids will copy.
Oh, I reckon it's the only thing I can beat Katie on at the minute is the dance move, so I'm claiming it.
Well, I thought I was down with the kids, but clearly not. They kept telling me to hit the Y, but I don't know what that means. They showed me. Obviously, RBC race for the kids this weekend. I'm hoping that we can get as many of these students here down on Sunday, backing local charity Mind Jersey and their Youthful Minds campaign. Couldn't be a more worthy cause, I think. So yeah, get yourself down there.
That's just one of many engaged community by the triathletes in a week of events which included youth and junior racing. But we'll go back to the elites now. Ahead of this event, Joe Ankier took some time to talk to Yuko Takahashi, who is one of the quickest athletes out there through transition, to talk about what makes a quick change.
Well, I'm joined by Yuko Takahashi, who got the grey jersey in the final last year, and that's because you're an ace at transitioning. Yuko, first of all, tell me, I know we're going to walk through this bike to run transition. How important is the transition?
Yeah, transition is very important, especially like this kind of races, like a short distance and very fast. It's so important.
And with it being such a short, fast race, it's a high-intensity moment, the transition. How stressful can it get?
A little bit, but yeah, always like trying to stay calm and focus on what I need to do.
Okay, so you come in from the bike. What's going through your mind at this point?
At first, make sure like where is my position, where is the transition is, and try to put my bike correctly and take my helmet first and take shoes.
Okay, show us what you have to go through.
Yeah. Put bike first and take helmet off. And
you already have your shoes done up and ready to go. Okay, and there's also a number of penalties that can happen in here. What can go wrong?
If you take helmet before you put bike, it's 5-second penalty. So,
and there's also something about the mounting, dismounting.
Oh yeah. You have to mount on the bike after the line and dismount before the line.
Okay. How organized do you have to be before the race?
Before the race, you always try to make sure where this mount line is and dismount line is, and
And probably get all your gear into position.
Yeah.
Why do you think that you're so good at transitioning?
Actually, I'm not sure why. There's no secret. I just try to focus and do what I need to do.
You're probably very organised as well. Well, thank you so much, Yuku, and we wish you the best of luck, and we'll be waiting for you in transition.
Thank you very much.
Okay, well, the athletes are down here getting ready for semi-final B. Now, of course, they know what they have to do because they've seen semi-final A. They've seen the kind of things that can happen. We saw Yuko Takahashi have an accident on the bike, so they know what's in store. Now, we have a couple of athletes missing today. We have, obviously, Summer Rappaport. She has actually pulled out with injury, and also Georgie Taylor-Brown. She's also pulled out. So there will be a couple of open lanes. Now, if I can take you over, let's see if one or two will have a word with us. We've got Rachel Clammer here just wetting her face. Now, how cold is that water, Rachel?
I'm happy I haven't gone in yet.
Okay, now Rachel, I know that you're amongst a lot of strong swimmers here. How much effect do you think that will have on your opening race?
See, I've been walking on my swim for the last 2 weeks, so I don't know if that's going to help or not, but yeah, we'll just go fast and see what happens.
You confident you can cause an upset today?
We'll see. Depends on how the swim is going and everything else. So.
Okay, let's take a little walk up the pontoon, see who else we've got here. Lane 9, we have Sophie Caldwell from Great Britain. Let's take you up this way. Well, Sophie, we know that arguably you're potentially the best swimmer here, so what are you hoping to do on this first swim leg?
Well, I mean, there's loads of great swimmers here as well, so just going to try and commit and hopefully win my blue jersey back. So yeah, I just have to say.
Okay, and I think they're just about getting ready to start, so I'm going to hand back so that they don't swim me down. Best of luck, girls, and we'll see you at the finish.
Great access there, thank you very much, Joe. Some nervous people down on the pontoon, and there is the list. In position number 1, we just spoke to Rachel Clammer, who is the heavy favourite to win this one, but she's going to have to stay with a host of great swimmers, including Emma Jeffcoat in 3, Leonie Perriot in 4, who's just seen her compatriot win that one. Carolina Routier, who for a long time has been one of the top swimmers in triathlon. And we go further down, Sophie Caldwell, we've talked about her. And your tip, at least to make it through, and I guess there's a lot of athletes there that are good to make it through, but Olivia Matthias is a name not a lot of people know compared to some of the others, but she's very strong.
Definitely, I'd say that she's going to make it through. I trained with her at Loughborough. I've seen her progress this year, and she got second in the under-23s in Lausanne. She's swimming, cycling and running very well, so I'd say that, you know, I'd put my money on her for her to make it through. And she's the one in white. She's one of the ones in white. I think there was 2 on the start line. One of them is Liv.
Yeah, that's right. The other one is Selina Klamp from Germany. So we opened a spot on the pontoon in the semi-final B, and you can see her there on the left of screen, to whoever won the junior race in both the boys and the girls. And Selina Klamp, who won the junior race, she's 3rd in the German Junior National Champs in June, and she has raced elites before. She hasn't come up against a field like this, although she did finish 11 in Ulster in the sprint try in the elite racing during the year. So she has raced in the elite levels, but she's 18 years of age. She's already raced today once, and she comes up against some names on there.
And she raced in horrific conditions this morning. It was teeming down rain. She got through and she dominated that. So she put her hand up straight away to get a start in this semi-final.
Okay, a few less because there's a couple of empty spots on the pontoon, but 5 spots up for grabs to go through to the final, and we are in for semi-final B.
And Caldwell.
I'm sure someone had a very slow start there.
Sophie's out straight away. You saw that dive, and then she already had half a body lamp on everyone, but I knew that's her game plan. That's what she needs to do. She'll be the first of the first boy, and she'll get around smoothly, but she needs to keep pushing on. But Olivia's there as well. She needs to get across and get over to Sophie.
It's possibly Leonie Perriot who slightly missed the start there from pontoon spot number 4, but you can see Caldwell already out in front as the 2 young athletes come across and try and get a straighter shot to the boy. But certainly, just even with a couple less athletes, there's a little bit of less fighting going on in the low pontoon numbers.
There is, but there's already a bunch before they get there. You've got, like, you know, the fastest swimmers here. So you've got Sophie, I think that's Jeffcoat, and then you've got Olivia Matthews, and then this is the carnage that you need. I would personally want to be on the inside and get around there. But yeah, it's still going to be hectic going around that first boy.
I think that's Brugmeyer on the inside line in 4th position, and then they're 4 wide behind. And then those 3 athletes at the back there, they're already got a mountain to climb. And we're only 100 metres into this one, and already if you're at the back of this pack and you're trying to chase a Sophie Caldwell, you've got a mountain to climb back there.
Well, Sophie comes off these first swim buoys, she really accelerates, and that's when the Constantina effect happens, and that gap between Sophie and the girls at the back extends even further.
Olivia's done a really good job
great
here.
swim.
She's came from the outside, which to me, I thought that was a mistake, but she's handled it really well.
There's
Look
Caroline.
at that, and there's the fight going around that buoy.
Yeah, that is Carolina Routier, and at the back there, that is our junior too, Selena Clampt, who's staying in contention just on the outside there of that group of three, and Caldwell leading. Great pictures here of the marina here in St Helier, and I can tell you these are the best conditions by far that we've had all week. It's been difficult even to get out of train at points, but the wind has dropped a little bit, and we are very thankful for that. The rain as well, and any viewpoint's a good one when you've got a boat or a kayak to enjoy the racing. But at the front is Sophie Caldwell, and as we mentioned before, she holds the top 4 fastest times of any female swimmer in Jersey over the last couple of years, and she's looking to add to that once again and pick up the 5 points for this semi-final towards the blue jersey, which we'll be awarding overnight. So you'll see the full range of colours tomorrow and at every subsequent Super League race across the course of the season between now and next November when we wrap things up.
Jefferson's actually being really smart here. She knows that she needs to hang on to Sophie. Sophie's going to come out. She's a really aggressive racer. She's going to put the power down when she gets onto this bike. You know, she's a powerhouse on the bike. She's great technically, and Emma knows that. Emma knows that she needs to hold onto that wheel, and Emma needs this as well to get through and secure herself into tomorrow, and she's playing it very well.
Yes, they would have watched that first semi-final and saw the gap that UK Takahashi and Cassandra Bogart got by setting it up in the big swim. Those quick transitions set the whole thing up.
Let's head down to Joe right now as they're coming in, and Sophie Caldwell leads the way with Emma Jeffcoat right on her hip. Joe?
Yes, Sophie Caldwell, we spoke to her just before the race and she looked and sounded so relaxed. She's doing great, isn't she?
Yeah, she's in her element at the moment. She's really pushing the pace here. Jeffcoat was trying to come around her. We got Ruti up there as well. Matthias has had a really good swim, and Klammer is also in the mix.
And there was a little bit of a fight around the early buoy and a couple of athletes already falling off the back. Megan Foley there. Do you think this is a bit of a problem for her already so early on?
Yeah, she really has to move up right now. She's got to use that ramp to get right up there and get into the mix again.
Okay, thank you so much.
Thanks, Henry. Thanks, Joe. I've just heard that Megan Foley, who was a 4-year Division 1 college swimmer, so she's definitely got the swim chops, was physically sick on the pontoon. So someone needs to get down there on the black carpet, Macca, if you wouldn't mind, and clean that up.
I'll be back in a sec.
But we'll keep an eye on Megan Foley, obviously. We hope that she is okay. In the meantime, though, Emma Jeffcoat's the one that leads them out of transition. Nice swift transition from Jeffcoat. Caldwell behind her, and Carolina Routier had a very, very good transition there too. Moves up ahead of Matthias with Klammer. There's Brugmeyer as well. Leonie Perriot needs to move up too, and off the back, the junior. No, Megan Foley, I've just heard, will not continue this race. She has pulled out, so unfortunate for Foley. She looked in good spirits yesterday. I'm not sure what's happened, and there she is. Maybe we'll get a word from her very soon if she's not too unwell. So our thoughts are with her.
This is where Sophie's going to put the power down, but it looks like Jefferson's doing it for her. And this is where the elastic effect is going to spring out.
Yeah, Emma loves to do this. We see her in all the races in Super League races. She sets it up with a big swim. She's happy to go off the front on the bike. And if Sophie can close that gap, those two allies have that same sort of racing mindset of being aggressive on this swim bike, which is great to see.
And it's great that these kind of things get rewarded as well.
Yeah.
And Emma knows that she's not the fastest in this heat. She's by far not the slowest, but to all advantages, you'd want to make it as easy as possible going through to tomorrow. So, you know, she wants this little break to come to something.
Emma Jeffcoat is the second best swimmer in Super League Triathlon based upon our number crunching from Forecast Consultancy, but she's only the 14th best on the bike. And in Jersey and also in the Enduro, she has her most consistent positional finishes. So she's enjoying the best possible combination of format and venue at the moment, and you can see that she's enjoying her biking out there, despite the fact that she's probably a power athlete more than a technical athlete.
Yeah, she shows her bike skills, to be honest, and I think she did this in Singapore. She was away out in front for quite a lot of the bike leg, But that is set up again by the first swim. And she's really good, even though she's not the strongest runner out there. I mean, it's only a 1.6k run, and then you dive in back in, and she's also very good at doing that. She's also very good at swimming off a hard run. I think she was looking behind there thinking, come on, Soph, I need some help here.
Yeah, she's trying to build through the season too, Emma Jeffcoat. She had her best result in Super League-wise, at least in Singapore. Finished 8th, and then big accident. Two people have gone down.
I think that's Rachel that's gone into her.
Yeah, that's Leonie Perriot who's trying to get back onto her bike, so that's really going to hurt Perriot, but she's probably going to be able to continue. But it's Bragmeier, is it?
No,
Beto.
Beto, you're right, Alice Beto, who has had a big accident.
She overcooked that corner. He's got a tailwind coming off that section, and as you turn into that headwind, she's overcooked that and just comes straight down.
Oh, that hurts. And it hurts Leonie Perriot too, one of our contracted athletes. And she'll need to push on as quickly as she can. She's 30 seconds back off Jeffcoat now. And we'll try and check in as soon as we can with Alice Beto, who was, according to the numbers, the third favourite to win this one.
We'll see it here.
We'll see the replay right now, and she came in too hot.
Oh, big crash.
Lost the front, and Perriot had nowhere to go.
I think that was coming from the black carpet onto the cobbles, that she just lost the grip there from the tyres. But, you know, it's an off-canvas corner. She'd have done this in training. It's unfortunate to see anybody crash.
Absolutely is. Jeffcoat remains at the front ahead of Caldwell, Routier and Matthias. And there's Luisa Baptista and Rachel Klammer off the back in 6th position. So Baptista and Klammer on the bubble at the moment, and 6 seconds ahead of Bragmeier.
But that has a ripple effect through the field. You hear that crash, it sort of frightens everybody. Emma's off the front, and sometimes you can get these gaps off the front start to open up as people behind start to look at each other and go, I don't want to come down in the next crash. So it's an opportunity for Emma to really push this section. She's got straight lines through, and that group of 5 or 6 can really set this up with a cruisier run into that second swim.
She certainly worked on her bike skills. She obviously is a swimming triathlete, but has worked on her bike and run immensely. She won a World Cup this year, not too long ago, in Tijuvaras, and finished 5th in New Plymouth as well. Won a couple of World Cups last year as well. She's getting better and better, Emma Jeffcoat. And she's featured heavily, of course, in Super League since its inception. Caldwell, Routier, Matthias, your pick, Baptista and Klammer, and they are your top 6, 5 of which will go through, and the other one will need to finish in better than a 40-11 to join them.
I can't see these two. These two are in trouble here. This gap is already springing out, and those girls aren't hanging around.
Well, Selena Clampt already raced today. Definitely giving herself a good showing. She's in 8th position there. She's picked up Emily Morier's timing chip, I think, because she's coming up as Emily Morier, who wasn't in the timing last race. But that EMO right there, the emo in the field, is in fact Selena Clampt.
So Emily's still got half a chance to get through.
I don't know, she must have put her timing chip down there somewhere, and Clampt has clamped it and taken it with her.
Maybe she's paid the junior. Go try and get me through to the final.
And Perriot, she's still 30 seconds back, so.
And Sophie's closed that gap up to Emma. So that's a group of 6 away. Rachel Klammer has been just dangling off the back of that, never looked comfortable. She's just finally been able to grab that wheel, but she's struggling in these corners. You watch her, you'd think as a smaller athlete, she'd be able to ride that line a little better, but she doesn't. She seems to lose a bit every corner.
I think that's the negative effect of being that last person in going around corners. If you're first or second, or even trust the person in front, you know, you can carry so much speed, you can take it smoother. Whereas when you're, you know, those back athletes, you have to slow down so much more going into the corner. You have to produce so much more coming out of the corner, and that yo-yo effect. I mean, Rachel's, you know, she's a strong cyclist. I'm sure that won't, you know, she won't lose the wheel in front, but you know, it's going to fatigue her.
Very smooth though at the front. Let's not forget that this is only the first of 2 bikes. It's 2 triathlons back to back. Swim, bike, run, swim, bike, run. We call it the Sprint Enduro for both our semi-finals and for the semi-finals across the season. Tomorrow, it is the Enduro, the most brutal format in the sport. 3 triathlons back to back with eliminations at every transition. So the best of the best get through the top 15, and then, well, they call it the Hunger Games of triathlon. The Enduro certainly is that, as they come around near the Freedom Tree and the Bliss Bar once again, and go out for another lap on the bike. Then, of course, it's the run and then another triathlon after that, because we just like to keep adding them on and seeing exactly how far we can push these athletes. And Clammer, your favourite for this race, is hanging on in 6th position, a group of 6 who look like we're almost certainly going to, bar any incident, pick our top 5 from this group.
Who's the big runner in this group, Jodie? You've raced all these women. Who is the runner to look for out of this 6?
Rachel, definitely. She's by far the best runner. All Rachel has to do is get off with these girls, which, you know, she seems to be struggling on this bike. She really needs to try and move up positions, but this bike course, it doesn't give you many chances to do that.
Oh, that was close from Jeff Coate.
She nearly lost that. She overcooked the corner again. If that's wet tomorrow and they're predicting a bit of rain, we saw carnage in year 1 here on that roundabout. It's the off camber in and entry and exit of that roundabout that makes it tough. It's not just a straight chute.
And they're really tight corners. You can see how tight that is. That you know, there's not much room for error there. Emma was lucky to get away with that.
Well, that would have been a tragedy in front. Haven't been able to pick your own line and just overcooking it a little bit. But such is the technicality of this course and the requirements placed on the athletes to not only do it quickly, but to avoid so many obstacles and changes of surface, which we already saw bring Alice Beto undone as she came from the black carpet onto the cobbles, and before the black carpet once again. You can see it underneath the wheels there, exactly how much they have to contend with. And there's no wind today compared to what has happened in the previous few days. But tomorrow they're predicting up to 50 miles an hour. So imagine going through these buildings with 50 mile an hour winds buffeting you in the rain, but also doing it on this course.
Yeah, this is a brutal course. It doesn't, you know, it doesn't fare well if it's wet. It's another element to it. This carpet, that off-canvas turn.
We've had another accident. Well, not an accident, but Jeff Coates come off on the... Sorry to interrupt there, just as she dismounted, and she might come out at the back of this pack after leading all the way through the bike. Did you guys see that down there, Joe and Henry?
Yes, we did just see that. A lot of accidents down here and athletes impeding each other, aren't they?
Yeah, we've already seen Beto come down. She slowed down Perio. She's now towards the back of the race. But we have 6 athletes in the front now. One of them is going to lose out on that automatic qualification. So it's going to be quite a race, and definitely getting into the water is going to be important.
And it looks like Emma Jeffcoat has come out of that little tumble safely. Back to you guys.
It does look like that. Rachel Clammer already at the front of that pack, and it's Luisa Baptista, the 25-year-old Brazilian, and who's off the back, and she just had trouble.
She ran out of real estate. She just did that transition, got those shoes out too late, and she saw that dismount line and had to jump off, and Nelly took everyone out.
Yeah, Baptista was the one who ended up losing out the most. As she came across, and then number 42, Baptista, had to slow down a little bit, and she's now lost touch somewhat. You can see her at the back of that shot, and she's going to have to work hard up that little hill there to stay with the runners. But Rachel Clammer, Jodie, just as you predicted, has come off, and she said stayed with the group and then moved into the position, is going to control the pace of this run, and Sophie Colwell find a spot just behind her.
It's really interesting to go and watching the transition. I think Sophie was the only one that put her bike in the reverse way, which is obviously going to be really beneficial going into the second transition. Yeah, and it cost her a little bit, but she's made it straight back up, and I could see her putting her helmet on as if you would set up for a normal transition. Everybody else was in a bit more of a panic, putting it in and just wanted to get onto the run. And Sophie's been calm. She's done this before, and thinking about that stage in front, which is what you have to do when it's swim, bike, run, swim, bike, run.
Baptista still working hard through that technical section on the cobblestones up near the fan zone to stay in touch. And in the back of that group there behind Matthias is Carolina Routhier and Jeff Coate in 3rd position. And I should point out that despite already racing this morning and not knowing she was going to race this afternoon until she was offered the spot, Selena Clamp is only 30 seconds off Rachel Clammer.
It's a big performance, and as I said, the race this morning was absolutely teeming down rain. They survived a very, very difficult conditions. The winds were up, so this is like a sunny day in paradise for her. She's competing with the world's best, and it's a dream come true, I think.
You can see the swim cap and goggles stuffed down the front of Rachel Clammer's jersey, and I guess it's a learning experience in Super League, because when we first started doing this, nobody did that, and they realised that they had to do it, and then suddenly people were trying to do different things. They were trying to stuff things in the back, in the front, where someone was thinking about running with it on, someone was thinking about velcroing their running shoes onto their bike and not having bike shoes whatsoever. That's what Super League was all about, wasn't it? It was testing people.
Without question, we remember that famous shot in Singapore where they're halfway through the run and they're all starting to put those swim caps on. There was 5 or 6 of them. The rule is you must enter the water with a swim cap on. If you lose close it while you're in the water, that's fine. So a lot of them have 3 swim caps or 2 swim caps in this case to make sure if one breaks or there's lost, you've got it one for the second swim.
All these things that make time is absolutely crucial. It's, are you going to make that pack? Are you going to get dropped? If you don't do these little things that save you so much time, it really makes a massive difference in Super League. In a normal Olympic distance event, like, you don't need to think of these things that save you, you know, a second, half a second, but it's absolutely crucial when you're looking at this kind of format.
Massive run by Baptista. She's closed the gap on Liv in the white jersey, and then suddenly she's in danger of being outside that top 5. It's an early danger. With on the course, you're outside that top 5. She can make up for it in the swim. But
well, just as she overtakes it there, but I'm not sure about her running style, but it looks like she's burning a lot of matches there, Baptista, in order to move back into that top 5, and we'll just see whether that works well at the back end of this race.
Yeah, I've got to say, Liv doesn't look super comfortable.
So
she looks like she's struggling. She's a good swimmer. If she is struggling on this run format, then, you know, she could, you know, get that time back in the swim, but she doesn't look comfortable to me on this run.
These two look very comfortable. I think Sophie Caldwell looks one of the... She's always off the front here in Jersey with that swim, bike, run format. And to tag Rachel Klammer, the best runner, as you said, in this semi-final, is a perfect setup to put herself in the final this afternoon. She knows she's going to be comfortable in the water. These two could potentially escape if the gap's not closed. And I think Emma Jeffcoat may swim across to this group. But we'll wait and see.
One little added carrot here, apart from the short chute for Rachel Klammer, is although she's been in the top 5 of the past 6 races, she's never won a Super League Triathlon race. Obviously, before this, we've had the whole field in each of the races. This is a semi-final race, so we've split the field, but she's never won. She's never crossed the tape. She's never lifted it, despite the fact that she is one of our most consistent athletes. She's always there or thereabouts. She finished 2nd overall without winning a single race last year. So having that and being at the front of a race is new ground for Klammer. She's here without her partner, Richard Murray, who has featured heavily and won plenty of races in Super League, but he's picked up a stomach bug over the last month or so since Tokyo, as is Henry Schoeman, why he's not racing, the 2 South Africans, but she certainly looks relaxed, and it'll be nice to see her come across the line first.
I think she needs to get a little bit of a gap on Sophie. I think she's playing it really smart here. She needs to get into the water before Sophie. She knows that Sophie's the superior swimmer, and it kind of gives her that little bit of a buffer for when, you know, Sophie dives in and catches or passes her, that, you know, she's got that buffer and she can get onto her hip, get onto her feet, and then drag her in. But Rachel's putting the goggles in, preparing, ready to go.
But if you look at it, Sophie Caldwell's the only one in that top 5 who has not put her swim cap on. If you glance back, I saw Emma Jeffcoat put a cap on. I saw Louise Baptista put a cap on. Sophie's left it.
Has she not got it?
I think that's a mistake. I think she was so good and positioning her bike ready for, you know, the next transition, that she hasn't thought about this bit. I think that's a bit of a mistake by Sophie.
And as you can see, Jeffcoat with the cap and goggles on. We can see Baptista's done it. In fact, the whole top 6 has done it, which leaves Caldwell to pick up and get it sorted out. As hard as it is to do when you're running, coming back into transition, it's harder to do it when you're going down the ramp. That's right. So Klammer just gets a little edge on Caldwell, who's working it out right now. Jeffcoat and Baptista's moved up into 4th position. There is Olivia Matthias, a young athlete. That's why she's wearing the white. And Routier rounds out our top 6. And there is Leonie Perriot, who's had a very gutsy race considering she got caught up in that accident. She'll be looking at that 40:11 time as well.
Yeah, without question. That was a big run from Leonie. She's really had to work that run, and she may pay for it in this second swim. But the girls in front are a lot stronger in the water than she is.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see what the time difference is between the first race now and what it was going into from Heat A, and if they've got coaches on course that are telling them, you know, okay, you're going to go through as one of the fastest losers for the people that are struggling. Maybe Leonie can do that. She's definitely going to have to work hard to do that to get into the final tomorrow.
Caldwell and Jeffcoat go into the waters together, probably the 2 strongest swimmers in this semi-final. Baptista as well, ahead of Routier, who can be relied on for a fast swim, and Matthias, who's a great swimmer and needs to get straight on to the feet of Routier and hope that they can close that gap somewhat, but there's no one in that group who's not a strong swimmer.
Yeah, Emma Jeffcoat did all the little things right. You saw on the run, it was actually Sophie got away from her on that run and into transition where she didn't have the gap on, but Emma closed that gap in the run between transition and the swim. We saw that in the last semi-final with Katie Safaris doing the same thing to Cassandra Beaugrand. So that's a very important part of the racing, and I think those two could swim down this gap to Rachel Klammer.
for a pure swimmer, I remember last year, this is where I actually swam better than Sophie for once in a life. But sometimes when you're going into this second swim, if you're a pure swimmer and you're really good technically, that kind of goes out the window, to be honest, because you're so fatigued and your body position is so bad from the first swim, bike, run. You kind of just have to get amongst it, fling the arms around and just hope that you're gripping some sort of water.
So Colwell, as we said, holds the top 4 fastest times here in Jersey, and in fact, none of the top 10 times are held by any of the athletes that are in the water. Right now, they're in fact held by Zefiris, Summer Rappaport, and Kirsten Casper has a couple of quick times around here as well. So the Americans dominating that, but Colwell, in terms of Jersey swims, sits head and shoulders above the rest of this group, although they're all strong swimmers in their own right, and already around the buoy, that gap from Rachel Clammer seems to be disappearing slowly.
And as you said, it's again, Sophie Caldwell has switched positions on the first swim. It's Emma Jeffcoat that's pushing the pace over Sophie in the second swim. You said last year she struggled in the second swim, which is interesting.
Yeah, Sophie just needs to control it now. She just needs to hold on to Jeff's feet. Emma's like really good at this second swim, and I think she'll bridge across to Rachel. Sophie just needs to try and hold this feet. Now there's even a little bit of a gap appearing here. Sophie needs to dig deep and just get out on Jeff's feet at least.
That gap's closed. Those three have. That could be a group of 3 that it's away, which is a danger for the 3 behind because they're racing for those automatic qualifying spots. And as we saw in that first semi-final, those smaller groups tend to go through this bike course a little easier.
It'll be nervous times if it's a group of 3 with 2 go in and 1 out. And that'll be Matthias at the back there, but at the front it's still Clammer leading from Jeffcoat, with Colwell behind, and then Baptista, Olivia Matthias and Carolina Routier. So
Caroline that's trying to close that gap down to Sophie Caldwell. She's swimming magnificently. Baptista on her feet and Liv in 6th position.
Routier, I mean, who's the weakest runner out of this group? I mean, without pointing fingers, there's a couple who are noted as specialist swimmers but may have a perceived run weakness, and when it comes down to these 2 groups of 3, it's going to be important because obviously we're going to have 1.6 Ks to decide who's in and who's out.
I think Caroline and Olivia, I'm surprised that Olivia didn't look that great on the run. In run training she has been looking better, but I'd say that, you know, I think it's between Caroline and Olivia, so it'll make this run really interesting to see who's going to get that final, you know, official go through tomorrow.
It'll be very interesting to see how much Louisa Baptista put in as well in that first swim bike run and how much she's got left in the tank. The Brazilian who comes in for the first time, it's her first Super League race, and out of the water.
Swam across. Caroline Ruggiero swam across to the back of Sophie Caldwell there, and this could be a group of 4. So this is a transition under pressure. You can isolate these 2, put yourself into the final quite comfortably. And
could we have a head-to-head between the young Brit and the 25-year-old Brazilian who is the Pan Am Games gold medalist from 2019, also won the part of the mixed team relay gold, Baptista for Brazil.
What's the 90 seconds? These guys seem quite far back. Are they?
They are. They were 55 seconds back, so they're getting towards the back end. And we're going to head down to Jo right now, who's giving us an update from transition.
Yes, well, this is obviously one of the more tense transitions with 6 athletes so close together.
Yeah, it's going to be a very tight race from now. You could see Jeffcoat was using her swim strength to advantage. Caldwell maybe playing a little bit more tactical, sitting in behind. But to mention, Perriot was really running well in that previous triathlon, and she really gained some time. So hopefully she'll get that fastest qualifier.
Yeah, we've been keeping a little eye on Leonie Perriot from down here because she caught back up a little bit, but she's still going to have to battle that 90-second elimination rule. Only 5 automatic qualifiers.
All right, thanks, guys. Jeffcoat 2 seconds ahead of Colwell. Clammer a further 2 seconds back. Brugmeyer and Clampt are battling that 90-second rule. You can see the clock ticking away down there in transition. But at the front, Colwell has taken control of this bike once again.
What was 4 is 2 now. What was 4 out of the water is now 2. If you've put Rachel Clammer under a little bit of pressure here. She needs to close the gap. She's fiddling with her shoes.
She can run this one home, you think?
Yes, but it's just having a group of 4 away and a group of 2. If you get isolated, she's going to, without question, qualify. But if you're Caroline Rudier, you're looking up front saying, well, I did all that work in the swim to be in that group of 4, and now I'm isolated again, and I may get caught from behind, and without that big run, I could be out of this thing.
Sophie's doing exactly what Jeffers did on the first leg. She's putting the hammer down and she's kind of breaking it up.
Through transition go Clamped and Brugmeier in a 1:15, so they're still in this thing. They haven't been eliminated yet, and they should make it through to the end of this one if they have decent bike legs. And there you see Carolina Routier. There's almost a group of 3, and then Routier all by herself and trying to fight off now Baptista and Matthias.
You're right, Chris. Caroline did an awesome job in that swim, and she's just kind of eliminated all that hard work that she's done, and she's now in no man's land.
She's where she was when she entered the swim. She worked so hard to get across to Sophie, and she was just tardy in transition. I thought Rachel left herself a little bit more to do, but she's just slid up the smaller frame. She really rides well technically, and now it's Emma Jeffcoat that's lost this 2 off the front. Sophie's put that hammer down, and Rachel Clemmer's sticking to her like... This is the train off the front.
It looked like Jeffers was struggling to get her foot in a shoe, which is why this gap has appeared. So hopefully she can just take the right lines and kind of come across. Caroline's trying really hard to kind of get across to Emma's wheel, but the other 2 have kind of have them in sight.
What's the bike strength of Liv and Baptista? Are they strong bikers? Are they able to work well together? If you had to look at the bike power, is the group up front a lot more powerful than those 2 off the back?
Yeah, definitely. Olivia is really good at kind of holding a wheel. She's hard to drop, but she's not got the power that these guys have up front, and they'll know that. Sophie knows that from training with Liv, so she's going to try and make her vulnerable and kind of use that. As much as they're training partners, Sophie wants to get through, and she'll use that vulnerability of Liv.
All right, a wide line taken there by Clammer, who wants to maybe share that lead a little bit, but she comes across in front of Colwell, the second of 4 laps on the bike as they round the roundabout and come through that little deviation we've put in there. Used to go straight down the road, now we go around a little bit. Far more technical course, and we've seen already a couple of accidents as we see the splits. Clammer and Colwell now 4 seconds ahead of Jeffcoat. Routier's pushed up onto the back of Jeffcoat's wheel as much as possible. And then it's a straight shootout at this point between Baptista and Matthias, and across comes Jeffcoat and pushes Routier wide.
No love lost there.
No, none at all. They'll discuss that afterwards. Jeffcoat has really pushed her luck on the bike.
She doesn't look as good on this bike as she did in the first one. She just seemed a lot more in control. She seems to have lost that cadence. She's not as quick out of the corners. Emma Jeffcoat I'm talking about. Caroline's been able to close that gap. But these 2 look a lot better than they did in the first.
I think that's what happens when you're fatigued and you start to panic. And Emma won't like the position that she's in. She can see these 2 girls going up the road. She made a mistake and she didn't get her feet in quick enough. And when you're making these mistakes and you're fatigued, these are the kind of things that happen, and you take the wrong lines. And she's
drifted behind. Look, if you look at the back, she's gone behind Caroline Routier, who's gone straight past her. And Rachel Clammer, we saw in that first bike ride, was sort of yo-yoing off the back. She seems to be a lot more comfortable on the front of this, and these 2 are gone. Is there something happening with Emma Jeffcoat? Because it's not like her to let gaps like that just open up.
Well, the 2 behind her, Baptista and Matthias, are putting everything in, see if they can actually cross the gap to Jeffcoat. In fact, I've just heard in my ear that Emma Jeffcoat has a puncture.
Oh, there you go.
And that'll be why. So she'll be trying to nurse that thing around for another 2 kilometres.
Well, that makes a lot of sense, because she's usually a lot more aggressive in and out of those corners. We saw in that first bike. She'd come especially off this roundabout and into this little chicane that we've created before we make the left-hand turn into the fan zone. She was really, really aggressive. She nearly lost it on this corner because she came out of it. She seems to be really flat, and that makes a lot of sense.
She seems to be really flat. Nice. I see what you did there.
Well, yeah, you like that.
That was good. I like that a lot. And, Baptista and Matthias will be seeing that. They'll know something's wrong, and they'll be able to pounce, because if they can both drop Jeffcoat, they're both in. And Jeffcoat will be on the bubble.
Yeah.
It's brutal.
It is. But, we've seen flats before. We saw it happen to Vincent Lewis in Singapore.
Well, it's the second flat we've ever had in a Super League race.
And it's been in back-to-back rounds.
There's absolutely nothing you can do about it. You haven't got time to change your wheel. If you do, then they've gone anyway, so you just kind of have to grim and bear it and try and cycle with a flat tyre.
It probably explains why she came across on Caroline on that turn there on the last lap. It's probably punctured there. She's probably slid out. Caroline's thinking, what have you done? And realised she's got a flat tyre, was able to move around her.
Jeanette Bragmeyer has been eliminated. Clamp dropped her, and Bragmeyer's fallen foul of the 90-second rule, the Hungarian. So her first race in Super League is officially over. That leaves us with 8.
Rachel asked me
in
how
this
many
one
laps to go. Sophie said nothing.
You keep going, I'll come in.
Yeah.
There's one more lap to go, and it is a race in 2 between Rachel Clammer, the Dutch woman who has featured throughout Super League's history. Caroline Routier finds herself all alone. She's had a bit of a lonely race, the Spaniard.
This is a long lap for Emma Jeffcoat. You know, you've got the other two that come past. You know, you've got the flat tyre. They haven't glanced down.
There it is, flat at the back.
Yeah. It's great riding.
It is, but going around these corners on a flat tyre, yeah, that's hard to control it.
And it's tough riding. She's got to get up here with her legs going to be a lot more tight. She's got to put a lot more power in just to stay in contact with these women, and it's going to make for a tougher run. 5 into 6 doesn't go, so...
Now she's got to start thinking about the 40-11 mark and getting around that 1.6K as quickly as possible. But right at the front, though, is Clammer, who is taking no chances on that roundabout with Caldwell behind. And these two are really showing Super League experience, 2 of the more experienced athletes. Probably the 2 most experienced Super League athletes in terms of racing Super Leagues out of this whole field, and just knowing a little bit more about how to pace things.
Especially in Jersey, Sophie seems to do awesome. Every year she goes here, she's out in front. She's an aggressive racer, and this kind of it rewards aggressive racing, and that is Sophie's style. And she's done it really smartly here. But all Rachel needs to do is just stay upright, and the short chute would be hers.
Here comes Jeffcoat on the unicycle.
She's got 4 more corners on this course to get through. She can stay as close to these 2 in front as possible. She can have a shootout on the run. It'll be an interesting run because all of them, I think the Brazilian will be the strongest of the runners, so it could be a Jeffcoat versus Liv showdown on this run.
That'll be interesting because Emma Jeffcoat actually trained a little bit at Loughborough with us, so it's a Brit versus Australia maybe.
No, just a little bit like here in the commentary box.
Here they come.
We'll happily turn on each other. It's 2 against 1 as Rachel Clammer comes off the bike for the last time. Colwell ahead, and she's come across in a 33.03. Colwell racks the bike. No need to put it in backwards anymore. It's about getting out on the run. And Rachel Clammer, not time for a smile. She did it last time through as well. Doing it for the cameras, just like her partner Richard Murray does as well.
Just doing the math off the top of my head, 33.03 off the bike with a 1 mile run to do if you to the 6 minute, you're quicker than the first semi-final at 39 minutes.
Now, Chris McCormack doing maths on the fly, that's something new. Routier in 3rd.
And Emma Jeffcoat
and Jeffcoat, who has had a very, very gutsy ride with the flat tyre, and now it's a race in 3 with Olivia Mathias at the back there in the white to see who goes through and who goes home. All 3 of them will go through if they can make it through in under a 40.11. And they might do even if they don't, but I can't do the maths all the way down, so we'll have to wait and see. But Baptista looks very strong, and maybe Mathias is the one who's looking a little bit weaker on the run. Rachel Clammer, though, seems to have gotten better and better as this race has gone on.
She looked a lot better on that bike, and she looks very, very comfortable. Very similar to Cassandra Beaugrand in that first semi-final. In control, very relaxed, not breathing very heavily, just controlling the effort, and she'll grab this short chute for tomorrow's final, which she'll enjoy having.
I'm not sure why she's running so hard, if I'm honest.
She wants to win. She's excited.
Well,
it's her first win. It's her first win. She's never won one.
Yeah, but back off. You got another race to do tomorrow. You can still win.
She looks controlled. She's probably putting that boot in to get that distance between herself and Soph, and then can make sure she can control and take that short chute, because it's a short chute thought she's thinking right now, as she can use that in tomorrow's final where it matters.
Routier has dropped off somewhat. She's 19 seconds back with Baptista 21, Jeffcoat 23, and Mathias 23. So Routier looked good in that second swim. She struggled a little bit on the bike. She was all by herself, and now has she got the legs to hold off this group of 3 behind her? That is the question.
Jeffcoat and Mathias, that Australia UK mixed race, are at equal time right now, halfway through this run, almost halfway through.
Out the front, though, Rachel Clammer, who, as we keep saying, has not got the best results in Jersey as well. Her worst swim results have been in Jersey. By far, her worst bike splits last year were in the Jersey Enduro. She's great on the hills. And in the run, her worst run splits as well were in Jersey last year compared to the hills as well. And yet, she's going to come and throw all of that out the window and win semi-final B, unless Sophie Colwell can find something in the last 800 metres of this one. But she has time to smile and stick her tongue out at the crowd.
She's doing it very easy.
Yeah, and then she has time to win this one. And she's looking very, very strong indeed. A few of the athletes, because it's been such bad weather, have been training inside and happy to just miss out a couple of sessions. But Rachel has been complaining to me constantly during the week that she wants to get out and do more and do more and train more. So she's certainly still fresh at this stage of the season. And it's looking like it.
I think Sophie's already totally back off, to be honest. I think she's kind of letting her run away with it, and she's just seems like she's jogging around and gone, yeah, Rachel, you can have that short chute.
So it looks like Beau Grant, the French woman, and the Dutch woman Klammer will have 3-second short chutes for tomorrow, which they can take on any run.
Just glancing at the window, so Jeff Coate was off the back of Olivia Mathias. You can see the screen here, so the gap is open. So these three are chasing that fifth spot. It's Caroline Rutier who's gone backwards at a quicker rate than anyone else. So Emma Jeffcoat needs to target these three in front of her and pick one of them off.
Keep riding on that flat tyre.
Yeah,
I think
without
that
question.
would have absolutely have zapped your legs, and she did it for near enough half the bike. So fair play to her for coming off with them, but it's definitely zapped her legs for this run.
She needs a 4-minute lap for the 800 metres,
which is
to get in under the 40.11. Jeff Coate, she's in at a 37.02. She needs a 40.11, so she's got 4 minutes. Sorry, that's not right. 3 minutes.
3 minutes.
3 minutes for 800 metres.
That's to be the fastest qualifier.
The fastest non-top 10 qualifier. Yeah, so she'll still probably get in.
Yes.
We'll just have to crunch those numbers a little bit later on and work out exactly who's in and out.
You just never want to play that card as an athlete. Anyone who's raced heats and semi-finals in athletics carnivals or swimming carnivals, you never want to play that card. You want to make sure you secure that spot, and it's always a nervous wait.
Great crowd here. That's the new section of the course. We didn't have that last year as it heads up towards the fan zone, and big crowds lining the side there, which is fantastic to see. We've enjoyed immense support here in Jersey. And there is Selina Klant from Germany.
What a great race.
Yeah, a fantastic race. Unfortunately, she's been eliminated with 1 lap to go. But against the quality of that field, she will finish 8th overall in a heat as the only one to have already raced today.
And it could be the fastest semi-final. So had it been the other one,
she could get through easily.
Had it been the other semi-final, she would have got through. Potentially.
Good little performer, though.
Yeah, without question, amazing little performance.
I know, and to do that in front of a crowd as big as this, and to show and test yourself, I guess, against the very best in the world in some of the toughest formats in the world.
Sophie doesn't look
really comfortable. What do you think of the face there?
Yeah, I thought the same thing. She looks tired, very tired. Rachel is very relaxed.
Rachel looks like she could run.
Smiling. Rachel's on holiday. Rachel's cruising.
If she's on holiday, I don't ever want to go on holiday with her.
It could have been as you come down there, the sun's come out for the first time in a week. So it could have been a sun in the eyes.
Smile.
Oh, she's done it
No,
easy.
she's that's the earliest we've ever seen anyone gesture to the crowd. Usually they wait till transition before they do that, but Rachel Klammer has waited 2 years for a race win, and she's going to get one after finishing so consistently in the top 5, and then back finishing 2nd overall in our championship without a race win. Finally, Rachel Klammer is going to hand out a whole lot of high fives and then take home a race win for the first time in her Super League career, and she's done it in a very quick time too. So congratulations to Rachel Klammer, who gets one for the Netherlands, well ahead of Sophie Colwell, who, as you said, backed off a little bit. But Rachel Klammer, certainly someone who's been a stalwart of our championship over the last couple of years, deserves a race win. Sophie Colwell, after leading out the swims, as she always does, will qualify as well. And then I think we're going to see Olivia Mathias. We thought she might have dropped off for a second there, but she won't. Baptista just kept on coming as well. And Carolina Routier and Emma Jeffcoat is going to come in
6th position.
In 6th position, and I don't know whether she's going to be under the 40.11. It's going to be close. No, she won't be under the 40.11, but she'll be very close, and she probably will.
That's a mega race with a flat tyre, a massive performance.
I can't even think about what that is. That's a 40.20. So she'll be in, Emma Jeffcoat.
Leonie Perrier needs to really move.
Leonie Perrier will be very much beyond the bubble, and we'll have to do the maths a little bit later on. But she's had to fight and fight, Leonie Perrier, after being caught up in that accident early on with Alice Beto. She's all by herself all the way through too. She hasn't had anyone to help her out.
To push a little harder. She looks very relaxed, hitting hands.
No high fives.
No high fives. Push to the line.
She hasn't really thought. Maybe she doesn't realise that she's as close as she is.
Yeah. Well, there's a whole lot of talk that the first semi-final was going to be the quickest semi-final, and it actually wasn't. This was a lot closer together and a lot faster.
Beautiful shots there from on high, as we're going to head down now to Jo Ankia, who has found Rachel Clammer, who probably won't even be out of breath. She looked that comfortable, Jo.
Yeah, Rachel, you looked like you were enjoying that, smiling most of the way. How much fun were you having?
It was fun. Well, the second round was fun. The first one, not too much. I struggled getting into my bike shoes, and I think I had a reasonably fine swim for me. So when I got off on the bike, I was like, oh no, like I'm gonna get dropped because of transition now. But I managed to get back, and then I thought, let's push it a little bit on the run so it gets spread out a little bit, because that will give me more time on the swim, and that was a good thing to do.
And you were having a great battle there with Sophie for the lead. How much did you want to take that short chute and get advantage for tomorrow?
To be honest, before the race, I was like, there's no ways I'm going to try it because the short chute is so small. And I was like, well, why not? I mean, maybe I'll need it tomorrow, so I'll just try to take it.
And a quick time as well. How much confidence will this give you ahead of tomorrow?
It's, yeah, I mean, I'm feeling good, so hopefully tomorrow too, and if my body's not too sore from today.
Well, congratulations on your first win at SLT.
Thank you.
Rachel Clammer, a very happy, eventually, finally, race winner in Super League Triathlon. She will take the short chute along with Cassandra Beaugrand, who was quicker in the end overall. We'll have a look back now at the highlights from semi-final B, and it was an interesting one and had a few ebbs and flows, but overall, it was another quick heat. In fact, Clammer was about nearly 30 seconds back on Cassandra Beaugrand's time. At the beginning of it, though, it was Sophie Caldwell who led the way from Emma Jeffcoat. Jeffcoat was the first out of transition, had a little bit of a quicker transition, and she looked confident on this first bike. She had a couple of close calls, but she certainly handled it well.
Oh, there's that crash. That was such a big crash, and that'll be interesting to watch in the men's race, because if you overcooked that, we saw that it was very, very dangerous. But for Rachel Clammer, you saw that in the first bike. She just struggled. She set a transition, set her up, and it was about here she was able to use her strengths and set up the entire race win for herself.
And this is where she's, she's done Super League, she's done all of last year, and it comes into practice. And having the hat and the goggles here, she got the advantage. She was in the water before Sophie, before Emma, and was able then to set herself up for the final swim bike run.
Out of the water they came once again, and Caldwell again was in control. Jeffcoat didn't look quite as good on that second bike, and then we soon found out why. It had the flat at some point, and it pushed right up. But there was that first smile from Rachel Clammer. She knew once she got onto that run the second time that she had the legs to do it. And about halfway through that run, Caldwell knew that she was bested for the short chute, and Rachel Clammer ran her way in front of a great crowd to a short chute and a race win. And we have confirmation through, Macca, at least provisional confirmation of our athletes that we think have made it through. Read them out to us.
It's Yuko Takahashi from semi-final number 1, was the quickest of the qualifiers. Then Jeffcoat, the under-23 world champion, Moria, Mazzetti and Lopez will be the 5 fastest qualifiers.
Okay, Leonie Perrier, that means misses out provisionally. That is Macca's
mathematics.
Macca's mathematics.
So don't hold me to it.
Don't hold me to it. The very fastest, though, was Cassandra Beaugrand, and then Katie Zafiris Clammer in a 39.43. Sophie Caldwell finished well within the time. Olivia Matthias goes through, the youngster from Great Britain, Louisa Baptista, who really battled her way through that whole thing, and Carolina Routier. But the fastest overall, as far as I can tell, Cassandra Beaugrand, then Katie Zafiris, Rachel Clammer, Sandra Daudet from semi-final A, Vicky Holland, Sophie Caldwell and Taylor Spivey all came in at or under the 40-minute mark. We're going to head back down now to Jo.
Okay, I've got Emma Jeffcoat with me. We are just biting our nails, waiting for confirmation. We think she's qualified. First of all, you went through the wars out there. That puncture, how hard?
It was really tough. I had a really strong second swim and came back out of the water at the front of the race, and it was all going to plan, and then, you know, had a clear transition. I was going up this first hill, and I just felt like it was so hard to ride, and I looked down and my wheel was flat as a pancake. So unfortunately that's racing, and I just was really proud of how I held it together and just tried to hang on.
It was still a massive performance, especially with that puncture. How tough did it make on your legs going into the run afterwards?
It really was, and as the girls, you know, behind came through one by one, it just like got even harder because my wheel was just, you know, dead flat, and then on such a technical course around all the corners, it just started to slip. So I just tried to hang on and just knew I had to hold it together on the run and just try and hold as close as I could to that top 5, knowing that it would come down to time.
And there were also quite a bit of tumbles, a little bit here and there. Why do you think it was so eventful today?
I think that Super League, being fast and furious, the courses reflect that, and out there today there's so many, you know, corners and dead U-turns. I think, you know, when there's a lot on the line, people put it out, and sometimes you come out, you know, unlucky, and other times you come out on top.
Okay, well, we're waiting for the final confirmation, but we believe you've made it through as a qualifier. Rest and recovery tonight, what happens?
Yeah, I'll get that rear wheel fixed first of all, and rest up, and hopefully I get a hit out for tomorrow's final, which will be even better.
Fingers crossed. We wish you best of luck.
Thank you.
Joe, I don't know if you're still there, but you can tell Emma Jeffcoat that she can race tomorrow. I've got it in front of me right here. She finished in a 40.20, 1 minute and 4 seconds back, which means she finishes 12th overall. So go and find Emma Jeffcoat and tell her that she's in for tomorrow to go and rest up. Also in Yuko Takahashi, who finished 8th overall in the end. Emily Morier, as you said, the under-23 world champ, will be there. Anna Maria Mazzetti and Vittoria Lopez, who all finished in the top 15. The only one to miss out who also finished the race, unfortunately, is Leonie Perriot, who finished 15 seconds back and out of that top 15. The DNFs came from Selena Clampt, Alice Beto, Ilaria Zane, Kerry Morris, Felicity Sheedy Ryan, Claudie Samard, Jeanette Brugmeyer, and Megan Foley. All of them will finish their racing, and they can enjoy it. They can just kick back and enjoy it tomorrow because they don't have to worry about it.
That's the big change from last year. They had a race to prepare for tomorrow, so the corporates who raced this morning have a big after party tonight, and maybe there'll be a few professional athletes with them.
What would you, if you were, which you never would be, you never would be eliminated on the first day.
Careful, Will,
hypothetically, hypothetically, if you were eliminated, what do you do on the Saturday night?
I would be
Go home early?
I would be in such a mood. I would be in such a foul mood.
You can see
I would sulk.
It'd be a big sulk. The men are getting ready for their semi-final A and B. There is Vako Velasa. And we saw just a minute ago Christian Blumenfeld as well. Now, he is a fantastic racer around here. Won Jersey in 2017 in an absolute canter did Christian Blumenfeld. Such an engine on him. Have a look out for him. There's Martin van Riel coming towards us as well, the Belgian. And there's so much talent through this men's field. A little bit earlier on during the week, we sent the Norwegians head-to-head against each other. Normally, Christian is the sole Norwegian here, but this time he's joined by Gustav Eden, who is the 70.3 world champ only a couple of weeks ago. He won in Nice, and now he makes his Super League debut, and we sent them head-to-head in the transition challenge.
How long have we trained together? I guess since 2011. Yeah.
We don't live together.
No, that's good. This is a hard one, doing it in front of you. I kind of speaking out the nose a bit more. How do I do it? I want to do 100 meters more.
He's kind of the clone in the group. Like